are live. Welcome everybody, or everybody who will catch this on the replay. Everybody's going to join. Appreciate you all tuning in. This is podcast number 2 with Travis Brown of Dog Walk Rehab. We got a really special one for you today, discussing something that I've never seen any other dog-related channel discuss. I did start listening to the video you sent me too, Travis. I got about 20 minutes into it. But if you want to just start, teaching the class about RK selection theory, what it is, and how it relates to, especially the issues we have with the dog human dynamic nowadays, and kind of peel back the layers a little bit.
Well, what I do suggest, though, since there's one person, uh, is to kind of tease with that, talk
Okay.
about a couple things
Oh, you want to get into it a
as
little bit?
we,
Wait for some people. Okay.
cause yeah, wait,
Yeah,
wait
yeah,
for a
yeah.
couple people because
Sure.
it is the
What's
kind
up,
of,
Will?
it kind of is the, I don't want to say the glue that holds it all together, but it is
I
the,
got you.
in the best quote I've heard about it, it's the most, has the most explanatory and predictive value than anything else that I know about.
I got you.
So with this, you can almost plug it into all these other different parts of life
Mm-hmm.
uh, to understand it in a whole different way. So once I first learned about it 10, 15 years ago when it was still on YouTube, which a lot of those videos are no longer available, interestingly.
Interesting.
So the bell started going off immediately. So all these questions are, um, I've always known a thing or two about life, but once I started digging into it, all these bells started going off. And then once I
Mm-hmm.
started applying it in the human world, and then I started applying it in the dog world, and then I started applying in the human versus dog relationship dynamic. So, but it is, see, there are already 4 people. So let's just,
Yeah, I think they'll start trickling in. But I know I
yeah,
love it when that happens when you have, because when I was growing up, I had always had, like, I don't know what you would call it. It's almost like you had these suspicions, or you had these senses where you just like something about this is, you just always had a feeling about shit. And then you stumble across some
yeah,
information like that, and you're like, oh my
exactly.
God, this is
You
it.
don't know, you don't know how you know that is so it, but
Right.
you just know that's it.
And then somebody comes
It's,
along and
yeah.
lays it out for you, and you're like, oh fuck, okay, yeah.
And, one thing that's always kind of driven me is people who scam other people. So like I was born in the late 70s. When I was maybe 13 or 14 in the early 90s, I used to watch these TV preachers. I don't know why I used to stay
Oh.
up late at night and listen carefully to the lingo and the way they would flip these
Hmm.
scriptures to get in people's heads and their emotions
Yep.
and get in their pockets. And I don't know why I was driven towards but I used to stay up every night and watch that. And it was so fascinating how people would fall for the neuro linguistic programming through Bible
Yep.
scriptures. And then it kind of went into Alex Jones in around 95. And then that started showing me that this is that, but on a much bigger scale. But I was in high school, so I didn't really get too much into it. I was too busy being young and dumb. But
I got you.
when 9/11 happened, I got all the way into it. And then
Okay.
probably around 2015 or so, I found RK selection. And then all these things started to make a whole lot more sense.
I got you.
And
Okay.
the more I look into it, the more you can think of all these scenarios that I'm not gonna say it everything adds up perfectly. It is still a theory, but it is also taught in every major university around the world. RK selection theory. It is a theory, but it's legit, you know.
Well, it's so in science though, Travis, the word theory has a different meaning, where, like, the way the layman uses the word, a theory is to be understood as like you're theorizing, or you don't know for sure, it's not factual, but you're
It's not
laying out a
proven.
hypothesis. Yeah, but in science, a theory is the highest graduation of a hypothesis. So it's something that's been tested repeatedly, and you have the same result. So in theory and science is actually like that's why they still call it the theory of gravity, is because like I mean it could be disproven tomorrow, but based on all the evidence we have,
Yeah.
gravity has been proven time and time and time and time and time again to be like the results are reliable. So a theory that the RK selection, and it may be in the science world, that theory, it may be we have so much evidence to back it up. So it may be a theory just like gravity, you know.
Right, right. And
So
for
it may
some
not.
reason, I'm not gonna
No, go ahead.
speculate on.
Go
I
ahead.
don't want to speculate on why it's now not as available. There are certain videos that I've been looking for, and they are not available. It's well because there's the scientific part of RK selection, and then there's the theoretical uh, how people make sense of it.
Mm-hmm.
So those type of videos, how people are making sense of it, how it applies in the human world, I can't find those. If you type in RK selection on YouTube, it's a lot of people from the Indian area, India, Pakistan. For some reason, they talk about it a lot. They're very much into
Interesting.
RK selection, but you
Okay.
only hear about the part of it that's R/K, reproductive rate carrying capacity of an environment. So how many deer can be in an environment versus how many resources are in the environment to sustain that population. So that's the very scientific basic understanding of RK. But then there's this whole other factual or scientific parts of it that then translate into theory about
Okay.
what it all really means. And then it starts getting complicated, and this is why it's probably not there because people have speculated that it's racist. Of course, where everything's
Hmm.
racist today,
Right.
everything's
Yeah.
racist.
Yeah. Math is racist nowadays.
Of
Everything's
course.
fucking racist.
And the reason they say because there was somebody who wrote a book called The Anonymous Conservative about RK selection, and he was basically saying people who think conservative with a conservative state of mind or way of living, survival strategy is are true K type. People who lean more towards the left, more liberal, are more R type. And so that of course that gets into a whole can of worms that people don't really like to talk about, and then things get
Right.
really complicated. But that's the
Hmm.
difference between the science part of it and the theory stuff, which gets very complicated.
Okay. So does that
So
mean like say even in the science world where you separate say what they know factually or what they have a lot of evidence to back up, but they're theorizing about say different contexts that our selection may apply to, but they haven't necessarily been able to prove it yet?
well, I think there are almost enough people. I can kind of start getting into it, but there are K traits and R traits that are proven. Every organism is either assigned a K strategy or an R strategy with certain traits that go with it. So that's proven, but the theory is Ks build civilizations and then they produce such an abundance of resources that the
Mm.
R strategy, which is thrives on abundance, the K switch from K to R, and then society collapses.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's just a repeating cycle. There's a slow climb over 2, 3, 400 years, and then a sharp decline. And it happens like that over and over and over, probably for the same reasons.
Sure. That reminds me of that quote, which you've probably heard, you know, and it's alluding to the cycles of civilizations. But what is it? Strong men create how does it start? Strong men create hard times, or no, I'm sorry. Weak men create hard times create strong men create easy times, and then easy times create weak men, and it just like the cycle repeats. Yeah, there you go, Shane. Hard times
Mhm.
create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak, yeah, exactly. So
That
it's
is RK
like,
selection in a nutshell.
yeah, exactly.
In the human world, at least as far as I'm not talking about deer or rabbits or wolves,
Yeah,
but as far as
just
our
humans.
world, that is how it happens. Exactly. So it's just like we're old enough. I don't know how exactly how old you are, but we're old enough to know our entertainers that we grew up with that are in their 50s and 60s. They got it from the mud, but their
Hmm.
kids are strung out on drugs.
Yeah,
So
right.
why is that? Because it's our case. It's the same thing. They
Yeah,
didn't get it out of the mud, so they don't learn these life skills. It's just why I have no problem being tough on dogs, because if you're setting them up for life, to teach them the hard lessons if we don't walk them through these lessons. So,
exactly.
and all that kind of gets into RK eventually. We'll talk more into it,
Sure,
but
definitely. Yeah, and and this is why, because we can, before more people show, we can even just touch on that a little bit, which is why, because I know one of the subjects I had mentioned was um a dog who recognizes danger versus a dog who's just reactive, or you know this is why I have no issue, or to me it's a positive thing if you have a dog who can recognize danger, because it's gotten those hard lessons from being out in the real world. And so there's a very big difference between a dog who has that mindset, who's been through it, versus a dog who's just reactive. It's like what Brandon
right.
says, where the difference between a dog who sees the world as prey and they're the predator and you're just holding them back, and a dog who sees the world as the predator and it's the prey, and it knows how to navigate the world because it's all about survival. It knows that there's real danger out there.
And how to interpret it, and who's
Right.
going to guide you through that moment. And if we don't convince them that we'll do it, they'll do it in whatever way they know how. But the story Brandon tells, which is I don't hear anybody else e- explain it quite like this. If you're walking down the street with your dog, and a dog, what would you rather encounter? Somebody's dog who got out of their backyard, who has been practicing being the best predator they can be, or a stray who will cross the street to avoid you? One sees the
Exactly.
environment like prey, one sees it as predator. But
Yeah.
one trait of ours are like being thrill seeking. They don't, they're not they K's would be more inclined to be more strategic to get home to their offspring. Ours are more thrill seeking. They don't Ours don't invest in offspring. They just have a spray and pray, have a bunch, like you can imagine rabbits. They
Hmm.
breed like rabbits. This is where the term comes from. They have a bunch of kids and they don't invest in them because it's a spray and pray. Some are gonna make
Right.
it, 10% chance.
Somewhat.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas K's are a lot more uh invested in their offspring. So thrill seeking and risk taking does not go is not something K's practice. So that's why a wolf would identify something on the horizon, and the Disney would have you think it will go charge after it and go kill it and rip its throat out.
Right.
It's probably
Yeah.
gonna smell and run off
Right.
and keep distance, either avoid or flight, and fight if absolutely last resort. So
Definitely. That's why you won't see street dogs. They're not going to do the fence fighting, and they're not going to, when they see people, they avoid, they run. Or, any wild animal you encounter, it typically they're going to go the other way. They don't want problems.
they exercise fight or flight, and most animals
Yeah.
will choose flight over fight. Most animals,
Right.
period. Yeah,
Right. They
it's
don't want to fight unless they absolutely have to.
so these dogs who are being so forward and confrontational, people think that's normal. That's not normal. That's
No.
it's a sign of insecurity, and the flight option's gone. So this is all I know. This is all I know to do is put on this big show to make you go away.
Right.
Otherwise, I would run, but I can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
I
So we
think
embolden
because
them.
oh, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead, Travis.
So I said we embolden them in those moments to just get stronger and stronger and stronger. Then they call someone like us a year later trying to
Right.
get the genie back, and
Genie back in the bottle.
yeah. But they've
Yeah,
seen
the
them.
dog
They've been
does it.
practicing. Been
Yeah, they
practicing
do it
looking at the environment
over.
as prey for a year,
Right. Yeah, it's become it's like a muscle that they've trained. It's a habit they've built over and over and over again.
and very
And
much
now
an
it
addiction.
becomes, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's because I
Uh,
think a lot of it is that it gives them that sense of empowerment. There's a lot of
oh, it feels
hormones that
good.
go into that.
That's why I
Yeah.
say when a dog is starting, their tail's here, but a year later, their tail's here because now they feel real good. So now what started as a fear behavior, now they are emboldened because it produces chemicals in the brain to make them feel good about themselves because they move
Hmm.
forward. And now you got a monster.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where some dogs, they're not going to do anything if they actually had the opportunity, but this is how we put them in these situations,
Right. And that's why they
by not making them feel like prey when we're walking them.
you're
It's
right.
just that simple. At least a little.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Brand says, we have to produce the danger for them. We have to make them feel like prey. Just enough. Like you said, just a little bit. Not to get them to fear us, but it's a healthy respect,
Because
and
you could just
it's
go walk around and just hope you run into these things eventually and work through them some point. Or you can say, I know this is what you have trouble with. We can work through this, and then we can determine if for this dog it's just not it's counterproductive to make them surrender to whatever the trash truck or whatever. Some cases, it's not worth it to make them surrender
right.
to it. And this
I
was something
agree.
I struggled with Brandon because he even talked about this. Having every dog surrender to every dog behind the fence that's barking at them
Hmm.
is not necessarily what you're looking for. And my mind was thinking, and I'm sure a lot of people in maybe other arenas in the dog world may think you have to make them bulletproof with everything.
Yeah,
Well, that's not fair for every dog.
it's not.
It's not fair.
I don't agree either. And some dogs I just worked with a dog last night. It was a new client who the natural temperament of that dog is very flighty, very
Right.
risk averse, very but so to me there's nothing wrong with that dog. That's just the dog's personality. And some dogs are just gonna they're very what's the word? Similar to flighty, but skittish. They're just
Skittish.
like, yeah, something
This
shows up in the environment, and they're just like, "Fuck it, I'm out of here." And that's to
that's
me that I
genetics.
don't. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I don't know why people have such an issue with thing. Dogs are predisposed genetically to have certain ways of dealing with things, and that's just so. I mean, so are people, but
Right.
you work with that natural tendency in the dog. I don't think that's an issue.
Yeah, I mean, and even people who take dogs in for specific areas in dog sports, therapy, these are specific dogs that fit that mold
Yeah,
easily. These aren't
definitely.
whatever the expression is, square peg in a round hole. I mean, you can
Right,
kind of do it where you like Prince doesn't really necessarily want to go with me to Kirby Ice House, but I know he has to practice being around people. Not so much anymore, but so in some ways I do need to force it. But Sailor, on the other hand, I would never because he's born way too with too much of a skittish disposition. It's
right.
counterproductive to try to force him where Prince can overcome.
Exactly. And
Two
I
totally different dogs. Yeah.
and I agree. I don't think it's necessary to try to push a dog through every single fear. I don't think that
Or
it's
us.
not necessary, but it can I think it in some cases it can be counterproductive where it can, if it's not necessary for me to deal with this or work them through this because it's not a threat to their survival. It doesn't impact our daily life in any way. And I go down the checklist of like, okay, list the pros and cons of if I put my dog through this and I work through this one specific issue, what do I really gain at the end of it? What do they really gain at the end of it if it doesn't impact our daily life at all? And it's not necessary for their survival for us to do that. I don't really see the point at that stage.
And people forget there is like a point system, and there's a trust, friendship, respect, leadership. And if you push it too much, they're not consciously taking tallies, but there's a point system, and you can lose a
Hmm.
lot of points if you're because we're already
Definitely.
almost in a sense saying, I know you don't understand, but I'm going to force you through situations that you're
Right.
going to misunderstand. So I would want to limit that as much as
Yeah.
possible and stick to only things that they have to that are unavoidable. So our
Right.
last home was downtown, so the train it was very loud, so we can't avoid all those sounds.
Right.
But there are some dogs we would have to move. It's just
Sure.
because they'd hide in the closet every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
It's
can put them
not.
on
It's
meds, but we've tried
right.
that with Sailor. That stuff doesn't work.
That's not a
Walking is
solution
the
for
only
me.
thing. Walking to him is the for Sailor, who is extremely sound sensitive and uh skittish. Walking is his drug.
He loves it, huh?
You
Yeah.
you it could be storming outside, but if he's on a leash, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't be able to tell he had an issue. It's
Yeah, and that's
the
I've worked with dogs like that where they are very um avoidant or insecure, but the minute you put the leash on them, it's like they just, I don't know, there's something about that connection that just helps them to feel secure. And you're just like, hey, I got you. We're going through this,
if you
Don't worry
can
about
make
it.
them believe, I believe you got me.
Yeah, exactly.
That's worth more than everything. That's why the treats are silly to me,
Yeah, I
because
agree.
you're trying to like buy that, and you can't buy that.
No, you can't.
Convincing them, I will handle the threat, and I'll find resources, direction, protection. And if you get them to surrender to that, then it's very easy. But that's where the RK stuff uh, comes in, because if you're moving like an R, it's gonna be hard to convince a K. Then it's that
Yeah,
simple.
I don't know if you want to get into it now, Travis, because I started watching the video and I didn't realize Stefan Molyneux had actually talked about it, but I got to that part where he's listing the characteristics and talking about what each thing are. What's up, James? What's up, Shane? Anki, appreciate it. Leanne, I'll answer your question a little bit later, but appreciate y'all for joining. But yeah, it's up to you. We could keep kind of talking about other
Oh,
stuff
we can get into it.
or
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We can
cool,
get into it. Yeah.
awesome.
So as far as the traits, is that the
Yeah,
last
if
part
you
you
just
were?
want to just because I know you already mentioned it, but the R is rate of reproduction, and it alludes to more animals more like prey animals where their survival strategy is to just reproduce as much as possible because they know that they're defenseless, and the K strategy is more that's more of the predatory types, and their survival
Yeah.
strategy is the what is it carrying capacity where they're more interested in they want to mate with the best to create the best offspring, and then
Yeah,
they're going to invest a lot in that offspring.
exactly. It's quality over quantity.
Yeah, quality over
Is
quantity.
the is quality is basically how you could define the R versus K, quality, quantity.
Okay,
So K's are interested in quality of offspring, R's are interested in quantity
quantity.
to pass on genetics. It's just one or two options to pass on genetics, basically.
Okay.
Um, so I mean, yeah, K's are, they kind of, it seems like predators, but they're also horses. Um,
Oh, okay. All right.
yeah, that are K's. These are, the best I can gather is that these are animals that move in packs, that have pack dynamic, versus
That's I
rabbits
saw
who
that too.
move in groups, but they don't have group law.
Yeah, there's no
They're
group
just
loyalty there.
there's just a group. So if a one rabbit in a field of endless grass is eating, and Fred is there as his cousin, and the hawk comes, this rabbit is not worried about Fred. All you have to do is be faster than the slowest.
Right.
Then you keep eating grass, and
Yep.
that's all there is to it. You don't need to uh, do like a K would do, which is uh, late sexual maturity, high investment in offspring, uh, physically fit, embracing rules, fairness, dominance, hierarchy.
Hmm.
Um, they embrace all of that to produce the most fit. Where again, ours, to an R, a rabbit, that would be useless and a waste of time, because there's an endless field of grass. We don't need to. All we have to do is stay here where the grass is and pass on genetics, spray and pray. So there's
Definitely.
really, if you can make a human think more along those lines, you can almost checkmate humanity. And if the powers
Which is
that be understand this simple formula,
what we're
it's,
seeing. Yeah.
yeah, I really do think that's what we're seeing. This is idiocracy,
Hmm.
basically. How do you turn people who stormed the beaches of Normandy into idiocracy? You
Yeah.
manipulate them through propaganda,
Hmm.
hurt them. Well, first you get them out of the rural countryside. 100 years ago, most Americans, 90% lived in the country. Now 90% live in cities. So you hurt them in the
Cities. Yeah.
cities, then you can control them through their five senses, through propaganda. Then you get them to switch to R. Then they're easy to control. And then dogs don't listen to people anymore.
Right. Do you
because
know
well,
before,
some still will,
before
but many will not.
yeah, the serious ones are not. Um, before we, because I know everybody's probably wondering what does it have to do with dogs, and that I want to before we get into that though, um, have you heard of the Great Mouse Experiment? I think that's what it was called. It was an experiment that was done, I think in the 50s or 60s. I forget the guy who did it, but the Great Mouse Experiment. What's up, Neely? Was or I think it was the Great Mouse Utopia they called it, where this guy, the whole experiment was he got a bunch of mice in this little, just a tiny little area, but it was like 6, 7 feet tall. And at first, the mice were very competitive. They were competing to mate. They were acting like normal mice would. But then as time went on, and they reproduced and reproduced and reproduced, and they found that the resources were plenty, the mice got lazier, they got stupider, they didn't compete as much, they just became like shells of themselves. And so they had concluded it was almost like a city environment where you put all these people. It's like what we see with people nowadays, you know. And so the conclusion of the experiment was exactly like what you just said. If you take a certain species who maybe was K, and you create the right environment, you can produce an R mindset, and now you can control that group however you see fit. You know, you've weakened them basically.
Right. Competition is bad. Dominance
Right.
hierarchy is bad.
Bad.
You're like you're like Hitler if you believe that.
Exactly.
Oh, I don't
Right.
want to be like Hitler. Then I'm gonna
Right.
swing the pendulum so far in the other direction to be
Hmm.
as soft as I can be.
Yeah. You're toxic because you're
And then you pass it on to your kids, and then the kids pass it on to their kids, and then you just get softer and softer and softer.
exactly.
And
Exactly.
and so I just think you can almost look at it like canary in the coal mine. Our relationship with dogs. 50 years ago, people didn't need dog trainers. You just
Nope.
stomp your foot and lay down the law day one. And dogs lived outside most of the time.
Yeah.
Not that I agree with that, but
Right.
once you start bringing them into your intimate personal space, and you don't know how to control genetics and instincts, it's a bad idea. And
Exactly.
and it was working at a time. That's why people could leave their dogs out in the front yard. There was a time when you could see dogs, the neighborhood dog, and there weren't
Yep.
these problems. So what has changed? There's nobody behind the wheel. So now we've put these dogs in this captive situation, and we haven't given them the skills to live in this world because we don't even know. We
Right.
don't even know
Right.
anymore. So it's the blind leading the blind.
Exactly. And that's why I said I made it a point the last discussion that I had because bringing the dog from the outside to in our home, that's where the problems live. The problem, most of the problem, of course, you're gonna have problems outside on the leash and whatever in public, but the core of the issue is always going to be how do you live with that dog? How are you sharing space with that dog? How are you interacting with that dog in the territory that you share? You know?
And if you let them practice the spirit of the wild in the house, they're going to practice it outside.
Exactly.
And so,
Right.
and they're doing things that fence fighting, every time window fight, the same thing, but at the window. Every time the package delivery person comes, that's a daily routine. That's a high, and they look
Mm-hmm.
forward to that high and wait
Mm-hmm.
on it every day. And then you take them out and wonder why. Well, because it starts at home. Same with kids. It
Exactly.
starts at home.
Starts at home. That's why you
And
send them to
that
school and they act like assholes because it started at home.
and we used
You
to
know?
say that. I started working with kids in the mid '90s, and that was a saying way back then. It starts at home
Yep.
because and with the dogs specifically, it starts from inside the home because
Starts from inside
those
the home.
intimate
Absolutely.
spaces invade versus invite, and dogs are
Mm-hmm.
invading personal space constantly without any concept of where are the rules and boundaries and limitations. So dogs just
Right.
invade, 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 and they get emboldened, and then they go outside and do the same
They do the same thing. And so I said there's a difference between a dog asking permission and making a demand. Those are two very different things, and it,
thing.
it comes from two different mindsets.
And we're not saying they have to ask permission for everything for the rest of their life.
Right, right. It's just the
These are
way that they
dogs.
go about, there's a respect to it, and
You can
it's
see when when a dog is something like this with a human, an adult human, but then they see a child and their demeanor changes and becomes very um, soft and submissive.
hmm yeah.
Well, obviously they have the ability. Obviously, some dogs can do that better than others, but that's kind of the difference when a dog is entering into my space or engaging with me. The first thing I'm looking for is body language. How do you feel in this moment that you're coming into my personal space?
hmm
So even at the shelter, when I had to leash up dogs, I didn't know if they were on this side of the kennel and the door was here. I would call them to me because I want to see how you're approaching me. If you're
hmm
approaching me with a slight head dip, with intermittent eye contact and ears back, then I can leash you and go, which was
Yep.
90 something percent. But if you don't approach me that way and you come at me with your head high, with eye contact, with the stillness and a quietness,
Right.
and that's what's
Yep.
happening at home, and people don't see it.
Yep.
Or they have two dogs, and one of them, the person thinks the dog loves to be around them, but they're telling
hmm
the other dog to stay away from their human,
Exactly.
and they don't even
Yep.
see it.
Nope.
I had that problem with Millie. She's very high pack drive, so it's kind of confusing because she already is high pack drive, but she's telling everybody else to stay away with her eyes. And so those are
hmm
the things that happen inside the home that people don't realize, and they're
Nobody
nurturing it.
sees it.
And
Yep.
because what's worse than or what silent consent? It's not, you don't have to say "good girl, look at Prince that way" by saying nothing. You're saying yes.
Exactly. Exactly. That's because and I think human communication does involve this too, because I was giving an example to my client last night, but it goes back to the dog's communication, and I think largely the animal kingdom, probably these social species that organize hierarchies, it's all centered around the more dominant figures telling the group what they don't like. And if that dominant figure does not say anything when the other members of the group are doing something, then it leads them to believe that this is acceptable because there's no
Exactly.
disagreement here.
It's
You know?
automatically acceptable
Yeah,
because there was no follow through.
exactly. Yeah, there
And,
was
and and
no.
and so a lot of times people disagree, but they don't follow through for the
Yeah,
to that same point. They're because
exactly.
so the dog is wondering, did you really mean that? Because
hmm
some things are like barking at the window. You can kind of do it until I say stop, but biting people is always illegal. So the
Yeah,
dogs can get confused. Well, do you kind of want me to stop? Do you want me to never do it? Uh, so follow through is one thing people uh, miss a lot. Saying
they do.
no, and then the dog just kind of stops a little bit, but
They didn't
they didn't
follow through.
fully follow through
Yeah,
and look for and wait for calm surrender and then move on. And that's one of the biggest Caesar's biggest hints, tips,
yeah.
the follow through.
That was that's actually in my lessons in leadership series. I have a whole video. That's a whole principle for me is the follow through because what I see a lot of people do is, and this is something I see a lot at dog parks. When I was in Australia, almost every day we saw this at the dog park. Is somebody's dog is doing something they don't like, but what do? They do is they say stuff to them, and the dog may even look back, but then it does carry on. And what does the person do? They just yell louder and repeat words, but they don't ever actually go in and do anything.
They didn't
And so,
achieve. They don't know what. I think a lot of people just don't know what am I trying to achieve here? What
right,
exactly is the end goal for me to? It's pressure on, pressure off. So you're
right,
putting pressure on. How do you know when to take it off?
take it off. Yeah.
What body language am I looking for? And that can be difficult if you're not around dogs a lot. But
hmm
how to look for a calm surrender and not just a dog who is. That's why I don't teach dogs to sit because someone could say, well, sit. Okay, you're good. But they never changed their state of mind.
Yeah, it doesn't mean
So the
anything.
sit was
Yeah,
irrelevant. That's I've never once taught a dog to sit, except for
I don't
Prince.
either.
That was for show, just so I can do it. But
Yeah. I
otherwise, there's no point to sits or downs or
agree.
places maybe sometimes. But these
Yeah.
traditional obedience things I find completely useless, especially sits. That's one thing I don't agree with Caesar. One of the very
That's okay. We
Very
can
one of the very
disagree.
few
We
things.
can disagree.
Like
Yeah.
sitting means nothing.
Yeah. I
So
agree.
it may buy you
That
an extra second to
yeah.
respond in case they move, but it doesn't change the state of mind. A lot of dogs will do
No.
it just for going through the motions or for a payday,
Right.
but it didn't really change the state of mind. So what was the
No.
point?
The only
That's why
time
when
I'll ever
Brandon,
do it.
go ahead,
Oh, go ahead. No, I was just gonna say the only time I ever do it, and I don't really. It's not a command for me though. Is like I'll do it if say I'm getting in front of a dog because they're trying to move forward towards another, and I get in front, but they're not quite listening. Then I'll usually take one hand, grab the collar, use the other one to put them into a sit, just so I can get their attention and get them to stop moving forward. But it's not meant to be this like obedience thing where I'm trying, because to me, I agree, this it doesn't mean shit. I'm just trying to slow them down and get them to sit in one spot so I can get their attention.
well, you're trying
You
to
know,
say moving forward right now is not on the menu.
yeah,
So
don't do that.
you're just forcing a physical position that helps to communicate. I don't want you moving forward.
Yes, yeah, exactly,
Forget the sit. I just don't want you moving forward. But I'm
exactly.
using sit to communicate that. So yeah, I
Yeah,
understand. And then on a different note, if you hey, and a dog sits, that's different.
hmm it's
So
very
you
different.
yeah, that's may not mean what you think depending on the dog, but in most
Right,
cases it's a sign of surrender, which some will
right.
call fear. Fear. And this is how
Yeah,
we start
yeah.
getting in trouble. Submission is fear, dominance is aggression, and then people get
Exactly.
confused.
Yeah,
And people like Caesar are the devil because people think, well, he does dominance, he's aggressive. He causes
right.
submission, he causes fear.
He causes fear, right? And
And
I've heard the same shit when I've showcased some of Brandon's videos. I've had the same people in the comments saying the same thing. They're like, "Oh, those dogs are scared of him," and I said, "No, you're confusing fear for respect. This is a dog showing
mhm.
supplication. It's not the same thing. A fearful dog is going to show different things than the
Right.
supplicative body language.
Okay, so what would you say is fear body language? A dog who is terrorized,
Yeah,
feels
I would say a big sign is when you see those clear fight or flight signals, and especially if a dog is like shaking. And
yeah.
I mean, that's very clear sign. But also, if a dog is calm and surrendering, then there's going to be very little tension. But a dog who's afraid, they're going to be
Yeah,
very
exactly.
tense. Even if they're not shaking, there's going to be a lot of tension there, and you can sense that they don't really, if they don't run away, that they don't necessarily want to engage with you because they're scared. They may do what you want to avoid some kind of consequence, but it doesn't mean you're building any kind of respect there. But yeah, there's usually, they may look away, but they're really tense. They may shake. There may
Low
be,
to the
yeah,
ground,
low. They may be whining.
tail
There
up
may be
the
some
ass.
anxiety there. Yeah, tail tucked. Exactly.
So it
That
seems
looks
like
very different.
very obvious. It looks very different.
Yeah, yeah. To me,
But
it's very
people,
obvious.
these are the body language Nazis that aren't around. They're not around a spectrum of dogs, of dog type of dogs and dog behaviors. They're like I look at it like the middle of the spectrum, and they're like 25% in each direction. So how would you know?
Yeah,
You haven't been
and
around
there
enough
are.
dogs. You haven't observed enough dogs. How they? That's what I don't understand. You can observe a dog doing this with another dog, but when a
Hmm
human does it, it's
it's
somehow different. They don't.
exactly.
They know you're not a dog. That's completely irrelevant.
It
Animal
doesn't matter. Yeah,
species. Animal first. Species next. Personality name. But we are
yeah,
animal first. That's why it works because it's animal to animal. It's not
yeah.
human to
We're
dog. It's animal to animal.
exactly.
That's why it
Exactly. We're
works.
still communicating on an animal level. And then yeah, and it's that I love that tier. And I kind of, when I describe dogs, I kind of use the same thing where I'll say, listen, a dog first is a predator, then it is a dog, and then it
Hmm.
is what breed is it? And then what or I should say mentality, personality, then breed, and then up the scale it goes. But can you explain for people who are watching the chat, what is calm surrender to you? Like, how do you see that?
Loosen the well, calm, still but loose. ears back, calm, ready to looking for direction.
Hmm. Yeah, they're no, the tension is gone, and then yeah, they're ready. They're in a much more receptive state of mind where they're ready
Mouth
to
open.
listen. Yeah,
Most
mouth
of the time,
open.
mouth open. I don't really want mouth shut. And with that's our automatic orange flag, possible red flag. That's not calm surrender. That's tense surrender. So that may be a part of the process at some phase in the game, but ultimately, I want calm surrender, mouth open, eyes soft,
Hmm. Yeah,
all
the
that stuff.
soft gaze is a big one. The thing
Mhm.
I hate about the body language Nazis, like you said, is they have a tendency to they'll take one piece of body language and they'll create a whole narrative around it.
What do you call that? A red
And
herring,
that
or
could
is
be a
it
red herring. Yeah, that could
where
be a
you
red
take
herring.
you take a little bitty thing and you make that your whole point when you disregard all of this?
Yeah, and
I think that's
it's like a way to like misdirection. Like red herrings usually to misdirect.
it is very
Um,
misleading. Yeah.
yeah. So for me, the two big ones are like lip licks to me, I think is like way overblown. You know, Goose licks her
Yeah.
lips. She licks her lips she licks her lips like every 3 seconds. So you telling me that when she's in here sleeping and she gets up and looks at me and licks her lip like she's stressed? I mean, it just doesn't to me it doesn't add up. But they'll or um that's just one example of what I see is so I always tell my clients or anybody is you have to read the whole situation. What is the total package of what the
Hmm.
dog's giving you? You can't just look at one thing and come to a conclusion. It's what is the energy the dog's giving you, the eye contact, the body language, what position is the tail in? Is it tense or is it relaxed? Is it, all these different things rather than just, oh, the dog licked its lips, so therefore it's stressed. That doesn't tell you enough. We need more than that.
Oversimplifying a
Yeah,
complicated something that is actually
exactly.
one of the things Brandon always says is simple yet complicated, complicated yet simple. There are things that are
Yep.
very simple, but at the same time, it's actually quite
But
complicated because you
yes.
have to look at
Yeah.
all these little micro details, like you said before, during, after the event. Why is this dog here? The whole context, not just the. But this is what they do
Right.
in the human world. They'll look at a controversial video and they'll take a little bitty
Hmm.
piece and they'll make
Yep.
that the whole thing
Yep.
without
Yep.
providing the whole context. So it's
Exactly.
it's deliberately misleading. I don't even think these people I have are doing it in good faith. I think they're deliberately being misleading because
I agree.
it's not that hard. If you're around enough dogs, you can read body language. It's not that hard.
I
You
don't
can
think it's
tell
that
when a
hard either.
dog is just not like I say. I worked with kids. I know third graders who look like that when they're doing math homework. So what are we gonna do? Take
Right.
all their homework away from them? I mean, it's kind of dumb. We have this Disney way of dealing with dogs that we don't apply to our children. Somehow it's
No.
fine with
I
kids, but
know,
with
right? I
dogs,
know,
it
right?
has to be like Disney, Disney fluff, or you're a dog abuser.
Exactly.
It's
I've said the same
yeah.
thing too. It's like, well, wait a minute. You discipline your kid. You get firm with your kid, or well, a lot of people do. But for some reason, doing the same thing to the dog is somehow like we shouldn't. That's wrong. We shouldn't do that. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
But we
You
are
know?
changing. Like I said, I worked with kids for 15 years on and off, not like 15 consecutive years. So the last I worked with them was 2023. There's a pack of fifth graders, about 16, 17 of them.
Yeah.
And when I first started working with kids in 95, you could do ignore, redirect, or block things you don't like, behaviors, things you don't like. You can ignore it and see if it
Hmm.
goes away. You can redirect the child to something else, or you can block it. And there was nobody batted an eye.
Right.
Now you can only ignore and redirect. You can't block. So halfway through the year, it started with two kids giving me problems, and then once we got back from the Christmas break, it was half the whole group was giving me problems because there was no accountability. You can't block. You can only redirect them. So when Bradley's throwing stuff over the fence at passing cars, you can only redirect him to another activity. So of
Oh
course
man.
he's just gonna keep doing it. And this
Yeah.
is the same thing that's happening in the dog world. We are not allowed because I worked at a shelter where you cannot say no.
Hmm.
They will show you the door.
Yeah. The shelter system's fucked. It's so bad.
Yes.
And it's
Yeah.
I've heard I know some teachers who worked in the public school system, and they will tell. I've heard the same thing from all of them, where they'll say the kids now are so bad, and they won't let us, we can't do anything anymore. They literally will not let us. You can't discipline the kid anymore. You just have to, you got to let it go.
Because
And
it's
I'm
the
like, what
parents.
the
The
yeah,
parents click
yeah,
up, they get these gangs, and then they will swarm the school, and the school doesn't want to deal with it, so they
right,
let the parents run the show. Parents don't want to deal with the kids,
crazy.
so they just put the device in their hand and set them
Yeah,
off.
exactly right. And the
uh,
loop continues, and it's just
and
like
it's not sustainable. This don't won't go on
it's
forever.
not.
This will end
No,
in tragedy, I'm afraid, because at this rate, this is not sustainable.
it's not.
And with
No,
now
we're
you
seeing the
now we've added
um.
AI in the mix, and now we're
Oh my
confused.
God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
But that's the whole point of my series, the parallels between the rise in aggressive behavior in dogs and kids is to show those parallels because we see the same thing happening in the dog world. And so I guess now would be a good, we could segue into, so if you the RK selection theory, how that applies to what we're seeing with especially the rise in aggression in dogs towards, say, even their owners or just in humans in general, how RK selection applies to that, the dynamic we've established due to the cultural issues we have around dog training or um, how to handle dogs, and it's very similar to the situation with kids.
Well, I think it's as simple as this term equality,
Yeah,
because
right.
that is a loaded term
Yeah.
today for obvious reasons in many different areas. But like
Hmm.
Brandon says, there is no equality in the animal world,
There
especially
isn't.
in species where there is dominance hierarchy. You're either here or you're here. There's no
Exactly.
here. But in our
Hmm.
human world, we're now being taught men and women are equal. There's no first place.
Hmm.
Everybody gets a trophy.
Yep.
Nobody's better than anybody else. And I don't believe like somebody's better than somebody else, but there are people who
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
contribute more to
Yeah.
society than other people who have the same opportunity who just don't. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But so there's no like there's no true equality, but the more we search for that and then we try to apply that in our home with our dogs, the dog is going to constantly look for who's here though. Okay, but who's here? And what about in this
Hmm.
situation? What about who's here and who's here in this situation? You keep
Exactly.
trying to convince me that there's equality, but who's gonna handle the threat if we're equal? I
Exactly.
mean, it has to
And
be
dogs
one. And
don't.
then
You're talking about an animal who doesn't believe in equality. So it's like
no,
you're trying to treat them in a way that's not even, it's not innate to their nature.
and
You
most dogs
know.
are followers by nature. There are
Yeah, most
some
of them. Yeah.
leaders, I'd say 80% or more are followers by nature. So if a human doesn't assume that position and convince the dog, now you have an insecure dog who is taking the position out of
Yep.
for self-preservation purposes, and they
And they
can't
don't
do it.
want it. They don't
They
want
don't
the
want it
fucking
and they
job
can't
either.
do it. No,
No.
that's why these back of the pack skittish ones are the most dangerous a lot of times, because once you make them believe, oh, I got to do it. Oh, well, you're not gonna like how I do it because I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
and
Yeah.
then
And
and then
that's
they
what
start biting you.
so it creates all the stress and the anxiety, and the dog just it's the it's the separation anxiety, or the dog can never settle down. The dog is, it creates so many fucking problems. And it's
Living in a constant state of cortisol, stress, constant,
yeah.
every day, adding and adding and adding.
Hmm.
So that's like Prince. The only way I rehabbed him, the only way is to lower the stress. If you can create an environment that he doesn't feel stressed, you don't have any problems. So it's about
Exactly.
controlling the environment and making him feel like he doesn't need to go there.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
you create the calm mind in the dog first, and then, but how do you do that? You do that through providing certainty, doing things to provide a sense of security by through discipline, structure, rules, boundaries. That's how you provide clarity to in their world, so they understand where are the lines and who's in charge. So I don't have to feel like I have to be in charge. And then that's how a dog can reach a calm state of mind, because now you're showing it that, hey, I'm running the show here. You don't have to worry about shit. I got it. And then when you're consistent with that, that's what leads you to have, I always say, rules and boundaries which are consistently enforced become expectations. When your dog understands the expectations through your consistency, that's when you get, you have, your life is on easy mode. Every day is the same with your dog, because the
Right.
dog, it's like it's the default now,
And
you know.
that's what we're trying to get people to, is that place right there where you hear Caesar talk about that, the inhale.
Yep, the
If
yeah,
we
the
both get
release.
to that point with the human and the dog, and we both live together, things are so easy at that point.
Yeah.
But it has to do with uh, embracing the leader role. So a dog's always
Hmm.
asking, "Who's am I safe right now?" and "Who's in charge right now?" Some dogs need the first question answered more. Some dogs need this question answered more. Some need both of them. But if you can't convince them of both with certain dogs, it won't work. No matter what we do,
Right.
it won't
And
it won't work.
this is why something like energy to me is so important. And there are people that just kind of dismiss it or say it's woo woo, or, but really, if you, that's part of the convincing of the dog, is if you cannot energetically show the dog who you are, how is the dog ever supposed to truly believe that you are this person, or this embodiment of that, like something I should follow, you
You
know?
got to show and prove. You can't
You
just
gotta,
say
yeah,
it. You can't just stomp your foot and say, "I'm a human. I declare that
exactly.
I'm your leader."
Exactly.
Some dogs you can probably, who are very sensitive, you can like stomp your foot. Not
Yeah.
that I'm advocating like to stomp your foot, but I'm not advocating not to either. But I'm just saying there are some dogs who it is that easy, but there are other dogs who are thinking, well, you put me in this place behind these walls. If you don't convince me, I'm going to push back, because that's in my spirit
Exactly.
to push back. I'm built to take up
Yep.
challenges, and I'm going to push back. Nature will find a way eventually, one way or
Yep.
another. And then they don't, they just shut down and go crawl in the corner. But most dogs are going to try to control the situation. So all this reactivity and all this, that's now an evil word, apparently.
Yeah.
But that's all symptoms of I have no control of my environment. I'm just trying to control my environment.
Hmm.
And
Because you won't show me you're in control. So what else am I supposed to do? You know. Now,
and they don't need,
oh, go ahead.
no, no, go ahead.
I was going to say, so tying it to, say, RK selection theory. Would you say that what we've seen happen over the decades is, as humans are a K species, but we have been conditioned to develop this R mindset. And so when we take in a predatory animal who is also a K, or I believe dogs are pack animals. So
Yeah.
if
Humans, dogs,
we,
wolves, lions, elephants.
yeah, if we act like prey, if we act like in our species, we show those traits, then as a predatory animal, as a K animal, they really don't have any choice. It's an instinctual thing. They're going to have to treat
Oppose it.
us a certain way. Yeah, they're going to oppose it. Yeah. And so this is my biggest contention with, say, the positive reinforcement way of doing things, is it creates nothing but, say, the R mindset, or you are showing traits of the R group
Yeah,
to your
I'm
dog.
not saying I'm not saying this is the way it is. I'm saying here's a treat. I'm giving you a chance to make a choice. And I'm all for like giving dogs choices in the right circumstances and giving
Right.
them autonomy. But that already puts you at, you already look soft. If you're already
Right.
saying, I don't want you to behave this way. If you here's a here's filet mignon. If you take this and stop doing that, then I'll give you the treat. But if you
Right.
don't want to, then you can keep doing what you're doing, and I have no real control. And then
Exactly.
then you start losing points. So what's worse than not telling a dog no? Trying to say no and being ineffective. Now the dog knows you're trying to do some kind of disagreeing with me, but it's not working. Now it's even worse than if you hadn't said anything.
Exactly.
And that's what these are. These people just, they keep losing more and more and more points. And to the dog, since there's no equality, it just makes the human, it puts the human by default
Lower.
in a lower rank
Yeah.
by default.
And it's, because I see, so just a quick story. I was at a client's house one time a couple of years ago, and it was a mother and her daughter. And the daughter, she would tell me that the daughter would come home. If the daughter had a bad day at school, she would kind of bully the dog, and she would have an attitude, and so on and so forth. Well, I had witnessed a little back and forth between the daughter and the mother, where the daughter, she had an iPad in her hands, and she said something slick to the mom. Now, up to this point, I could kind of see that the daughter was kind of dictating to the mom, huh? I could see that dynamic. But she said something slick to the mom, and the mom says, "Listen, you're not going to talk to me that way. If you talk to me that way, I'm taking the iPad." Well, so the daughter said something slick again. So the mom walks over, and the daughter had the iPad with her two hands, and then the mom grabbed the other half of it, and she said, "You're not going to talk to me like that. Give me the iPad." And so, of course, the daughter resisted and started raising her voice, and they got into this verbal back and forth. Well, what ended up happening was the mom let go and let her have the iPad. And I'm just witnessing this whole thing, thinking this is why she doesn't respect you. That you
Persistence
engaged in
paid
this,
off.
yeah, you engaged in this power struggle. You said to your daughter, "You're not going to talk to me like that. Otherwise, I'm taking this." But you didn't
Empty
follow through
threats.
on that. Yeah, empty threat. Yeah, you didn't follow through. It was an empty threat. So now what is the daughter supposed to believe other than, well, I guess I have all the control. I have all the power. I could talk to you however I want and I'll still get my way. And it's really not any different with your dog. If we don't apply those same principles, your dog isn't going to take you seriously either, you
The
know?
only difference is a toddler would do that subconsciously. The brain would figure out, oh, so if I, then I can. Okay, I see how this game goes. Where
Yeah,
older
right.
kids, they start doing it consciously. They start figuring out
Yeah,
how to
I I
plot
did.
against you.
I definitely did that
Oh yeah. Whereas
when I was
dogs,
older.
they don't have that capability to plot on you. They're
No,
just
no,
gonna,
yeah,
you know what I mean? They're just gonna be
yeah,
causing. It's just a action reaction. If I feel like there's a void there, if I feel like it's soft on that side, and I feel more, I feel determined, then I'm gonna be persistent. Whatever happens, happens.
right.
But
And
dogs
to
are persistent in spite of humans uh, being persistent in the opposite direction. So they push back without enough pushback, and then they get
right,
emboldened, and then we lose them.
exactly. And to me, this is because this is something that I don't hear anyone discuss, but I've discussed. It's the whole idea of power dynamics, and there is a power dynamic, whether we realize it or not. There's a power dynamic with your dog. There's a power dynamic with your kid. There's a power dynamic in any relationship you have. There is a power dynamic there. You may not be aware of it, but we see this in, say, man to woman relationships. There is a power dynamic there, and this is why we have phrases like, "Oh, you're pussy whipped," or "Who wears the pants." It's alluding to who
The
runs the
switching of
show.
roles.
You
Yeah,
see, are switching of roles, and so I see the RK selection kind of, it, like you said, it kind of ties to everything. And I see this with, say, interpersonal relationships. To me, now y'all may disagree with me, but in my world, if you have a lot of arguments or arguing at all, fighting with, say, a man and a woman relate to me, that's a sign that there's a huge lack of respect. Because in my world, we don't have argument. Like, there's no arguments with the opposite sex in my world. There's no disrespect. There's no, and I have the same easygoing relationships as I do with my dog. And to me, that comes down to, if you can display certain traits consistently, then you will get the respect that you want, and you create harmony. Just like you with your dog, you can create harmony because you display certain traits consistently that they can count on, they can rely on, they can respect.
it's a clear vibrational output that the dog can clearly receive and understand. If
Hmm.
it's, I mean, if it's an R output, they're just gonna oppose it. So I mean,
Yeah, and some
it just
dogs will
doesn't.
straight up attack it. They just like,
Oh yeah,
they hate weakness. They'll fucking snuff it. They'll try to kill it, you know.
yeah. I'm sure with a lot. I don't know how you feel about this. Has been an age old question. I haven't. Dogs who redirect on their owners. Is it personal or is it not? I don't know. Depends on the kid. Depends on the circumstance. But is it
You mean with
completely
kids or with
in
dog? Kids or with
when a
dogs?
dog redirects on their handler? Is it just an impulse? Is it just a response, or is it I think you're weak and I think you're the source of me
Ooh,
holding
that's a
me
good
back,
question. That's a good
and I
question.
and I want you to drop the leash and let me go.
That's a
I
good
don't know
question.
how much. I've never really been redirected on. I don't have that problem, but I wonder.
Yeah. I well, so when I work with clients who have aggressive dogs that are already like that's the problem we're trying to solve. So the dog is just aggressive to everybody. I don't take it personally,
Yeah, that's
but
different.
I do think the dog has been led to a place where its mindset is humans are weak, so I treat all humans as beneath me. So it may not necessarily be personal in that respect, but it's sort of like this is what humans have taught me to see them as. Now, if you have an owner and its dog, and you have that same scenario, I don't know. It could be personal. It could be the dog saying like you're fucking weak.
Well,
So because I like to use the analogies of say like human relationships, where if I have a spouse who constantly disrespects me and I allow it, then I think that person may think like, why do you let me disrespect you? You're so fucking weak. So I'll continue to disrespect you. You know?
some people like that. They're called cucks. They like that,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't
but
get it. I
that's
don't
not
get it.
normal. That's not
No,
normal.
I
They
don't think it's
are
normal.
stuff.
Yeah, I don't think
But
that's
that's
normal
what
either.
On that note, though, I think people want to be cucks to their dogs. I think they. I think it's some
Say it
weird
again.
little. I think people have some weird fetish to be cucks to their dogs.
That with all the cucking going on nowadays, you might be right, Travis. You might be
Like to be
fucking
told
right.
what to do, and they like their dog
Yeah,
telling them. I think there are some people that find
there
that cute
might you. I would not be shocked at all if somebody had said that that was the case. You know?
because there are YouTube channels dedicated to hating dogs, and this whole
Yeah.
sycophantic relationship people have started with have how what we've come to with dogs. It is a little ridiculous. Bringing dogs everywhere, kissing them
Hmm.
all on the mouth. Every dog you see, you gotta pet them, or you have to let your
I
dog
don't.
say hi, or all
I don't
this kind.
understand that shit.
It's getting ridiculous. We're getting way too Disney with all this,
Hmm.
and the more Disney you feel, the more Disney you're gonna be. And if that's your way of being, dogs will pick up on it. They don't know what it
Absolutely.
is. They just know that's soft,
Yeah.
and that doesn't make me want to follow you
No.
through the fire
No.
past the thing that I don't want to walk past.
I
So
think it's
most of the
I don't know. I think even for people, it can be subconscious. I think sometimes people may not even realize it. It's just something we pick up on. So I
I
don't know if
think
it's
people are
subconscious with dogs either, or
I think people are beaten. I think we're all spent. I think we're all. I don't want to sound pessimistic. I think we're all cooked, and dogs pick up on the like a roast that's been poisoned, and they start walking funny. I think we've been targeted for a long time by they, and it's worked, and it's been devastating on the human race. And
that's like
dogs are responding to it.
yeah, yeah. It's just it's almost like chemistry. It's like there are just certain natural chemical reactions that happen. You put this chemical with this chemical, boom, this is what happens. And it's like you put
Well,
this mindset with this mindset, boom, and you got a reaction. It's like you can't avoid it. It's like magnetism, positive, negative. There's no way around it. It's just the laws of physics.
a-
Like
and I don't know if you want to get into this, but when I was younger, there were no chemtrails in the skies. They're
oh,
doing
I see
something
them. They're
chemically.
horrible here every day,
Yeah,
every
they're doing
morning.
something chemically to us. So if they are targeting us chemical warfare, uh, we're not going to be who we're supposed to be.
Mm.
That's the whole point. That's their whole objective. And I'm known of
Do-
that for 30 years. I know the end game is to make humans into a battery slaves.
like the Matrix. Yeah, it's
It
like
is the
yeah.
Matrix. It is the Matrix. So in one hand, humans have become sloppy, decadent. It's not our fault though. They made it like they did this to us.
Hmm.
It's kind of our fault, but it's not our fault.
Yeah.
But the only way out of it is to acknowledge that they are manipulating us with $1 trillion uh, strategies. And if you're not aware of it, it's more sophisticated than you will ever imagine, and it will destroy you
Absolutely.
chemically through the food, through the water, through the air, through the propaganda on TV, and we won't be this. We're not the same species that stormed the beaches of Normandy. We're not
No,
even close,
no,
not
we
even
ain't.
remote. So look at that with RK selection and how dogs treat us. We're not the same.
No, no, and that's so sometimes I wonder too, Travis, and while I'm saying this, your audio is kind of just like not cutting
Oh,
in and out, but it's like I don't know the word, spotty. It's just like there's almost like static in there a little bit. I don't know what you would call it. Um,
consistently.
yeah, it's just been like the last few minutes. I've noticed it's just been like creeping back in, but um, sometimes I wonder, because if you see how men specifically have like over the years how we've the less our testosterone, or I'm sorry, the more our testosterone decreases, and the more that has been taking place, like the physical characteristics of men have become we look more like women nowadays. Like we look very soft. There's a lot of really feminine looking dudes out there, a lot of, and I don't know how much of that is through, say, chemical, all the chemical shit that's going on, or like what is that is it genetic, is it
BPA, bisphenol A,
yeah.
BPA is in the plastics, and that is an estrogen mimicker. So
Hmm.
right there is how they target testosterone,
Hmm.
just and plastics and everything.
Yeah, it's crazy, and it's
And
I
they're
think
targeting the little boys at juice boxes, so they're getting their dose of BPA at a young age.
yeah, and like the men who stormed the beaches in Normandy, I'm sure their testosterone was much higher than um, the men of today. But I notice, see, this all, so you have the physical aspect of it, and then you have the sort of the propagandistic, the psychological aspect of it too. Where now on a cultural level, we're trying to convince people that being strong is, having certain masculine qualities is toxic, and you're um this is a problem, and we're trying to kind of make it taboo, or make it like we need to evolve past these things, or we need to, and all we're really doing is we're turning men into big soft emotional, there's nothing more dangerous than a man who can't control his emotions. I mean, that's really the most dangerous fucking thing.
Oh yeah,
And
I almost ended up in prison behind it. Not that any specific
yeah,
incident, but I was on a collision course for prison because I could not control myself when I was
yeah,
younger.
I was the same way
And
when I
there's
was
so
younger,
many who are sitting in
definitely.
prison right now who are thinking, I just didn't have control of myself in that little moment. It just took a little. Now
Yep.
you're in the
And that's
20s of
it.
life.
That's it. And but all the traits that built civilization, now we're trying to demonize them. And it's like, and this is
It's
why,
as if go
let me
ahead.
just finish this real quick, Trev. Going back to like one of the traits of the K's being very competitive, and this is why I don't understand, like, because I hear this rebuttal towards me, like, because I love debate, I love conflict, I love the competition, I love,
Yes,
and to me
exactly.
that's just
I love
naturally
it.
who I am. Yeah,
Exactly.
but you hear people who I would say have our personalities, who are very like, oh, that's what weak men do. Oh, why do you need to do that? All you do is argue. And I don't know. It's just that, if you don't have enough testosterone run through your veins, you probably won't understand it. Yeah. So it's like,
You
to
would
me,
want the most competent at the front of the pack. How do you
yes,
determine who's the most competent? By dueling it out in some kind of way.
competition, some competition. Absolutely.
Otherwise, we're playing this game of all equality, and that's stupid because somebody there has to be somebody with more skills that is better for
Hmm.
this position or that position or whatever.
Absolutely.
If we're all gonna sit here, then we're playing the sideline quarterback game and we're done. Because if we're there was a time when I was growing up that people didn't play that sideline quarterback crap. If they weren't professionals in that field, they would give you your props and stay out of it. But now
Yeah.
everybody's a professional in
Exactly. Right.
every aspect
Exactly.
of life because they have the internet and
Right.
they watched
Right.
a bunch of videos and now they know. So
Yeah.
you don't have to have 10,000 hours anymore. You just have to surf the
No.
web.
Yeah. I remember I worked with this guy, and he didn't stay at my job very long. This was a few years ago, but I remember because I train MMA, and I heard him talking about the UFC fights that happened over the weekend. I was like, oh, you train? And he's like, oh no, man, I watched enough UFC, like I know how to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude,
Yeah, those kind of people.
yeah, I'm like, I actually train. I'm telling you right now, you can't just watch fights and get in the cage and think you know something. I'm sorry, it just does not fucking work that way. You
And I
know?
know there are people in the dog world who think I could do it. I do other things. But if I wanted to,
Right.
I could easily just do that. It's what's the big deal? It's dogs. They love me. And no, it's
Exactly.
not that easy. It's
It
not
ain't
that
that easy. That's why I say everybody nowadays who has a dog thinks they're an expert. And this is why,
easy.
to me, it all comes down to what can you show. And if you can't show it, if you could say you could do X, Y, and Z, but I never see you do it, then why the fuck should I believe you can do it? If you can't show me you can do it.
And some of it's not really showable because really the big test is owners a year later,
Right,
5
yeah.
years later. Which
Exactly. Yeah.
how do you really showcase that?
I
You
mean,
can
I
kind
do
of,
update
but
videos as much as I can, but it's the owner's always going to be the X factor. And so to me, I don't know why people seem to think that your clients have to have this perfect situation for it to be deemed a success. It's like, well, no, if the problem I was called for is solved and my client is able to live a much better life with their dog and they don't have
yeah.
serious problems or conflict and they have a good relationship with their dog, that's
That's
all
why
that
you
should
said
matter.
something I didn't agree with. I think it was you. You said you don't accept a testimonial until it's proven years later or something. Like, no,
Yeah,
you
that's what I said.
if you did what you just said, that's all you can do. You've
Yeah.
left them with the tools and you've given them a lifeline if they have any questions or if they need
Oh,
to touch
absolutely.
base at any
Yeah,
point in the future for the duration of that dog's life. You can
absolutely.
always call. You can always call. But that's really
Absolutely.
all you can do. And then for all the trainers who think you or people who think you can just get into it because you know dogs. This is not dog. This is not about dogs. If you
Mm,
don't understand people, it's useless. You can be the best board and trainer in the world. It's
yeah.
useless. I
Yeah,
mean,
if you can't help the human, then now
no,
let me
because
clarify what I said with that, Travis. So what I meant with the review, because I don't like shallow reviews. To me, there's a
yeah,
big
yeah,
difference
yeah, yeah,
between
yeah.
somebody like if I show up and do a session and the end of that session, that was just the starting point. Like say they have a serious problem, but
Yeah.
we haven't resolved it yet. And I'm like, hey, if you want to leave a review, leave a review.
It
But
hasn't
we
been
haven't
proved quite
really,
enough. Right,
yeah,
right.
we haven't gotten the results that we're looking for. Then I won't ask for a review until that client can say, like, say, in Clark's case, for instance, it was like 2 months that they had consistently no problems at home, and I was getting good reports consistently. And I was like, hey, okay, well, if you guys would be interested if you feel I've earned a review, you're more than welcome to leave. That's when I feel comfortable doing it because we've actually achieved the goal
Yeah.
and it's stuck for at least long enough to where I can say, okay, it was a success. And so to me, I want testimonials that because you read certain reviews and you'll see like it'll be some bullshit like, oh, uh, guy was great, did a great job. Looking forward
Right.
to, or especially in the dog stuff, what I'll see a lot is, oh, we learned so much from so and so. I'm so looking forward to implementing what he taught us. And I'm like, but you're not really telling me if what he taught you actually got you where you wanted to go. You know what I mean? And so,
So it doesn't serve the purpose of the testimonial really.
yeah, to me,
It
I want
doesn't
to
tell somebody, well, but what did it do long term? It doesn't tell
exactly,
them
yeah,
that story. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I get
It
that.
might be an indication that the guy was professional and that he was knowledgeable. But if you can't say we've put into practice what he showed us and we are much better than when we started, then to me it's just like I who cares, you know?
And just to point out, there's no 100%. So
No, there
none
is
of
no
us we're
100%.
not
Yeah,
shooting
yeah.
for
Everybody
100.
out there, yeah, who thinks there's some fucking perfect 100%, y'all are full of shit because
No,
it don't exist.
not even Prince is 100, right?
Yeah,
He's close, but
it's
but
okay.
no. So we're not telling clients to shoot for 100. You're just trying to get
No,
as
we're not
close as you can
close as
to
you can.
100. for that dog and
Absolutely.
that human and that environment. And
Absolutely.
so I know out of these trainers who make all these promises, I can train any dog to do anything in 2 weeks
Hmm.
or
Yeah.
yeah, run.
Yeah. Yeah. There are certain problems you can work through quickly, but then those are problems that can you get the owner to be able to handle it
Yeah,
quickly.
because how
And
many times
then
have you heard
it's,
an owner say, "As soon as you left, I could your presence. It must be something about yeah,
yeah,
there is,
I hear that
there
all the
is."
time. I hear that all the time. And
And you
then
have to
those are
say,
the
"Yeah,
people we
that's
got to do.
true."
Yeah.
Because everything, if I'm walking with them, everything is fine as soon as
Hmm.
I leave.
Hmm.
But then what do you do? I can't make you be
Exactly.
the K that you the type of K that you need to be for that dog.
Exactly.
I can't make you be that.
No. And that's why I give every client, like I'm on call for all my clients. If because I know there's going to be trouble down the road, there's going to be struggles, there's going to be obstacles because these are skills they don't have and they're trying to learn. So I always say, and this is why I provide the instructions, the written protocol, because that's the roadmap. But listen, when you're struggling, so just shoot me a text, call me, whatever, send me videos, and we'll get you there. But it's going to take some time, you know. But yeah, I hear that all the time. As soon as I leave, it's the X, Y, and Z thing. To me, that's par for the course, you know. But it's like, what are we going to do about it? To me, that's the question, and that's
And to
that's my
me,
job.
yeah, as far as RK, you're the dog is a perfect opportunity for a human to find that side of them because
Yes,
there's
yes,
nothing else that exists in the human world like a dog. There's that with
mm,
that type of relationship. It lives with you.
no,
It's a day-to-day commitment. And if you can become who you need to be, we can save
hmm,
my goal is we can save humanity through people who have dogs, who can let dogs lead them back to the light.
I agree. That's why I
That's
say
all.
I've said this so many times, getting a dog is a great opportunity to build leadership skills, to build that side of yourself. Because I was
Yeah.
like you when I was younger, Travis, like I was a fucking mess. But getting my dogs, it forced me to overcome things in myself. And I wouldn't be who I am today without Kaylee and Bruno. I mean, they put me in a
Yeah.
position where I had to admit to myself, especially Bruno, I'm like, this dog will never fucking respect me if I don't get my shit together. So I had to do it. Otherwise, that dog he wouldn't have cared, And so, but
That's
I
exactly
rose
what
to
I
the
mean.
occasion. Yeah, I
If you
stepped
care
up.
enough, you'll find you'll it's like a David Goggins quote. If you put yourself in situations that suck, you'll find yourself.
You'll find your,
So
yep. I like that
I
quote.
don't advise everybody to take on that dog
No, no,
at
definitely
their
not.
position,
Definitely
at their
not.
point in life. That can
Yeah,
backfire.
definitely not. Yeah.
And that almost backfired with me when I first started with Jazz, who started all this. She was way above my pay grade, way above.
Hmm.
But I stayed the course. 15 years later,
Hmm.
you know, finally had to put her down. But she is what changed course. I was into the streets and I was gang related. That's R
Hmm.
stuff. Well,
Yeah,
some parts of it's R, some parts of that's K. I learned how
it
to
has
be a
some
K.
traits. Yeah, I know what
Yeah,
you
I had
mean.
learned how to be a K in that environment. But a lot of that's risk. It's too much risk taking. How does
Yeah,
that serve your offspring? It doesn't.
it
So
doesn't.
there's a lot of good stuff I learned from it, but a lot of bad stuff. But it weren't if it weren't for dogs, I was going the wrong direction.
Hmm.
And I would have crashed out for sure.
I know what you mean, man.
So
It's and sometimes people don't like. I didn't think I'd end up with a Bruno. It just happened.
and how
I
did
was
that
not
happen?
expecting. Well, when I adopted him, so because I had already had Kaylee for 6 months, and I decided I wanted to get another dog. So because I was doing a really good job with her, um, so I went to the shelter and he just happened to be there, and I took him to meet Kaylee, and it all went really. I mean, they were two peas in a pod. Um, and the sheet they had on the Humane Society, his area, it just said, he was a year and 1 month old, and they said he'd had two owners already. The last owner kept him chained up outside 24 hours a day. and he was very destructive in the home, and he had health problems. Like he had alopecia, he had open sores all over his body. He had an ear infection. He had a really bad plaque problem. But he was not being cared for, and the people who had him, they didn't know what the fuck to do with him. But given his disposition towards certain people and certain dogs, I had suspected maybe it was a dog fighting compound. I don't know, because Bruno only went after dogs that were fearful, nervous, overexcited, um, or dogs that challenged him. But dogs that were submissive, dogs that were calm, he had no problem with. And so I'm like, well, what would be the only types of dogs he would ever really engage in that sort of environment? It would be the dogs who challenge him, the dogs who are too much, the dogs who pose a threat. Now, I don't know for sure, because he didn't have any scars on his body or anything. I don't know, but that was who he was when I got him. And but I didn't know he had the aggression problems he had until, you know, I don't remember if it was at the dog park or when I brought him to meet my parents, but he attacked their two dogs. And then I found out, I was like, oh shit. But I didn't know he had those issues.
Well, remember how another thing Brandon talks about that trainers don't talk about, when you get dogs who have health problems, who have something going on that their immune system is fighting or
Mm.
responding to, you don't know who you're dealing with
Right.
until
Yeah.
until they get through that health
Yeah.
crisis. And then they get their strength up and now they're comfortable and now the old dog surfaces.
Yeah.
So that's
Well,
why.
in his case, it was day one. So he
Oh,
still
was
had the
it?
health problems.
Oh,
But when I brought him home, I mean, it was day one where when I brought him home, I fed them, right. So I had a bowl of food for him and Kaylee, and I put it down in front of them, and he immediately turned and looked at her and started growling. And she's a
oh,
submissive dog, so she looked away and she was shaking. So I checked him for that. So he understood
mhm.
right there, like, you're not, no, you ain't doing that. But then I fed him, and my God, he swallowed that turkey neck so fast, and then he ran over to her and took hers out of her mouth. So I had to run over. So I had to take it out of his mouth and then give it back to her. And then I had to block her and to basically tell him to fuck off. But he didn't like that. So his next move was to run up on my bed and try to piss on the bed. So I had to tell him that wasn't going to fly. And that was the only day he ever growled at Kaylee, took food out of her mouth, and tried to pee on my bed. But
So he
the,
said, convince me and then I'm good.
exactly.
Because
Yeah.
that's the rule. That's the law.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that. Okay, go ahead.
Exactly. Now the road to solving the aggression, because I mean, that was a long road, but at least in the home with Kaylee, we were good from day one after that. But now health wise, so just some tips for you guys. So his problems, right? I had already had Kaylee on a raw meat diet for 6 months, and she was thriving. So I took him home. He had alopecia, he had a plaque problem and an ear infection, right? Well, they gave me some medication, and they said it's not working, but finish the script. And if he's still not doing better, bring him back. We'll figure something out. But I'm like, no, fuck it. I'm gonna put him on a raw meat diet. So I threw away the medicine, put him on a raw meat diet, and all it took was 5 days before the alopecia, the sores healed up, the hair started growing back, his ear infection was gone, and his breath. Oh my god, the plaque, because his breath was horrible, but the plaque problem went away, and his breath was finally good again. And so all those problems were very short lived. But they didn't seem to really slow him down at all. Bruno was just one of those dogs where like nothing slowed him down. Like, you know, he just had that mentality of like he was a bull in a china shop.
Move forward, move forward, move
Yeah,
forward,
move.
move
Yeah,
forward, move
very move.
forward.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Those are difficult because you have the whole. This is why I like Ivan's experiment with the how do you control a dog who is determined to move forward with treats or a shock collar? And I thought, well, you're obviously gonna win if you're competing against them. So like, what are you really proving? Yes, the objective is to stop a determined dog from moving forward. That's the essence of
Mm-hmm.
most of all pet dog trainers. That's why they're called, to stop unwanted behaviors because of forward movement, determined to move forward. So how do you stop a dog without all the tools? That's the
Mm-hmm.
conversation they won't have.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm calling y'all chicken shit on this live. All y'all are chicken shit for y'all having the conversation. And that's the big elephant in the room. They want to prop their side up by showing it compared to something that's clearly inferior, as
Hmm.
opposed to challenging it next to something that can compete with it.
Right.
So they keep saying, if there was another way, trust me, we would be lined up around the corner. We would, right? You haven't you heard them say that? But they never ask. As soon as we say, but there's another way, do they ever ask? Never. And this goes for
No.
all of y'all. I've challenged every big dog trainer out there in the last 20 years, mostly in the last 5 to 10 years. On that note, that you don't need the tools to stop a dog that is determined to move forward.
Yeah.
And the quicker we can move away from it, the better, because it seems like it's the go-to strategy. Every dog that comes in the door gets one. That's bullshit. That's
Yeah. And
total bullshit.
I've just,
It's
I do like we've discussed, Travis. I'm not against e-collars, but the problem I have with them is it's like the first tool that they jump to. It's like they rely on it so heavily, and that's the go-to. And I'm just like, I just don't understand the mentality, you know? Um,
I understand it when it comes to owners who just can't seem to do it unless you're standing right there.
sure, sure.
They just can't seem to get they need the leverage. I'm all for
Yeah.
it. But don't
No, I mean,
say,
even the professionals. It's like you send a dog
yeah,
in for a board and train, and the first thing they
right,
do
right,
is
right.
slap an e-collar. It's like, why are we starting there? I
You
don't.
can't do it without it. Is that what we're saying
Right.
here? You cannot do
Yeah.
it without, because to our I won't say his name. I'm gonna try to be nice, but the conversation we had the other day with he had with his client, I won't work with you unless you bow down to the e-collar. Well, excuse me, who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
You're an
Right.
inferior
Right.
dog trainer if you can't help this person who has said, I'm not comfortable with the e-collar. You know how many of my
Yeah.
clients have said that?
Most of
And I'm
mine.
saying,
Most of
fine,
them.
I don't use them either. I can help you if you determine that that's what you want to use, but I can most certainly help you without it.
Yeah.
So he essentially was unwilling to help a dog because she didn't bow down to the e-collar. That's bullshit
Yeah.
to me.
I don't agree with that. And I told you what I thought about that too. I've never all of my clients, whatever concerns I'm always considerate of if they're not comfortable doing something hey, I'm here to help you. I'm not gonna try to force anything on you, or I just don't operate that way. You know, like if you,
And
and even the two cases where we did use the e-collar, those were like neither one of those clients didn't want to use it.
mhm.
Um, but we still didn't even use the shock function. It was vibrate both of them. But then acknowledged that like, okay, this is like the last option, so let's do it. You know, and I
And it's
don't. But
frustrating when we've seen enough dogs to we've confirmed you don't need that to get what you're looking for. Well, they'll say, well, what about off leash? Maybe if we're talking off leash, but most of the stuff trainers are called for is not for off leash. It's for eliminating
no,
unwanted behaviors. That's icing on top. Which, if you
yeah,
want to use an e-collar, Millie uses one on vibrate. That's not cheating. She didn't learn to be off leash with the e-collar. That's just insurance. But for the sake of the ability to free roam like that, yeah, it's worth it. If that's what you need for
definitely,
insurance for your dog, then go for it. But to teach them to behave in the house, to walk
yeah,
on a leash, are you serious? I just
yeah.
we're moving backwards. So they went for the yanking crank in the 70s to purely positive, and now this new sport world into the pet world ideology has taken a foothold in this pet dog industry, and I think we're moving backwards.
I say this like it's like we're still not really trying to understand the animal. You know, it's just like we try to use all these human developed tools as you tell me what you think about this, Travis. The way I see it is I see tools as we're compensating for our inability to communicate like another dog can. And
Absolutely.
so but any tool for me should be a temporary, like I should use it. It's a means to an end. And then once that goal is achieved, I should phase it out as fast as possible. But if I can't get a dog to submit without an e-collar, then I'm fucking up,
You
you
really don't
know?
have any business modifying behaviors if you cannot do it without an e-collar.
That to me is
Not
that's
not
like
you,
the
but any
yeah.
trainer
No,
who
I know
cannot
what you mean.
say,
Yeah,
I cannot modify behaviors or eliminate unwanted behaviors without shock or prong collars. I cannot do it. Well,
there's still
there
work
needs to
to
be a
do.
special category then, because we're not talking about the same. We're not in the same league
No,
here. Because that's,
no.
and it's
There's
not a
levels.
pissing contest. There's a reason why
Yeah,
I don't want to put all these tools in the hands of owners, and I do wonder if they have deals with Herm Springer and Dog Truck, because everybody gets one as soon as you come in the door, and everybody gets sent home with one of those. I
they
wonder.
might. They might. I don't know. They might. You know, sponsorship or a
Somebody's getting paid. Yeah, because I've had clients say I need to do the same thing with slip leads because the slip leads I recommend. Oh, you need to get commission off it. I wonder if this is a racket. This is a scam. Not that all some of these dog trainers mean well. They just don't know.
yeah.
But if you meant well, you'd be asking questions. The reason I know all that I know is because people like Brandon Fouché are annoyed by me because I've asked him so many questions
Because you've
over the
asked,
years.
yeah,
I
you've asked them so
bugged
many
the
questions.
hell out of Brandon Fouché. I've tried to get a hold of Caesar so many times. I've met him. I've been to seminars. I bug these people as much as I can. Other trainers, I bug the shit out of them. I
Mhm.
watch all their videos. I watch
Oh,
all
I
their
know you do,
podcasts.
Travis. It amazes me how I'll go to people's videos and you've already left a comment. I'm like, how does he fucking see? You just like you've seen it all already. You're one step ahead. You know,
Yeah,
even
so
it could be.
I don't necessarily
It's
ask
just
questions, but I'm asking questions by looking, well, what are you doing? And explain this to me. And explain to me how the president of head of education for the IACP is making dogs piss themselves with e-collars.
right.
We're
And I
going
saw that whole
backwards.
video. I did not. I've been meaning to do a follow-up video about that, showing the clip. I did
Have you
not
ever
think
made
that
a
was
dog piss
justified.
on them? Have you ever made a dog pee on themselves from correcting them?
No, no, I
No.
never have. No.
No. That is
Uh-uh.
that's let me just stop there. But that's unacceptable to be the head of any dog organization and you can't stop a behavior without making them pee on themselves. Now if that was a
Yeah,
one-off for all, but you posted it. Why did you post
right.
it? You're telling people that that's acceptable. That's not that's abuse.
Well,
That's
correct me if I'm wrong, Trevor. Was the head of the ICP just commenting on that video, or was he in the video?
No, I'm pretty sure, and if I'm wrong, I will publicly apologize. Antonio Diaz, the head of IACP, head of education,
Yeah,
was the one in the video
he
doing
was
it.
the one in the video. Okay,
And
because
Dylan Jones was firing off on him about it, the same exact thing last week. How do you make them pee on themselves? That's above and beyond. The whole point of corrections is without overwhelming them.
yeah, it should meet
That's
the
beyond overwhelming.
yeah. No,
They lose
that's
bodily function. I can see if it was a highly sensitive. But then why do you have a shock collar on them? If it's that
right.
sensitive, there are other
Exactly,
ways.
exactly. If it's that sensitive, you shouldn't need the shot collar. And I
No,
wouldn't use one anyway for a dog who's that sensitive. You know.
no, I can
But
see it as a communication thing. Like I'm calling you at long
yeah,
distance,
just like
or
a little, just kind of, as they say, what, a tap on the shoulder or whatever.
but
You
even
know.
Dylan Jones, level 60, 70, 80, 90. I've not met that dog. Have you? That
No,
needed that? No.
no.
Have you? Do you deal with Disney dogs? No.
Disney dog. What's that?
Soft, fluffy Disney dogs. Like some trainers only deal with soft dogs, like Zach George. But you don't deal with
Oh no,
just
I
soft
did.
dogs. You deal
I
with real cases. And
yeah,
you
I
have not
work with
met that dog
anybody.
who, right, who needs level 60, 70, 80 plus on a shot collar. Have you ever met that dog? No.
No, not even
No.
Petunia. Petunia, we didn't use shock collars. She was an aggressive pit bull. Clark, the highest. So when I was testing the shock function, I went to level 30, and I did it on myself, and then
Mhm.
I put it on Clark. It made his muscle twitch, but he didn't do shit. But then we moved to the vibrate because I didn't feel comfortable going higher than that. I'm like, I don't know, I don't want to push this. So we moved to the vibrate, and then that's what he actually cared about. But but I've even seen guys like they'll have like two collars on, and
Yes, I've
I'm
heard
like,
that. I've
whoa,
seen that.
what do we do? That
And I've
to me
seen the
it's just
one,
like,
I hope it's satire, but it was a prong collar attached to the E. So all it was all the way around, stimming. But I don't know if that was some stupid meme, but like I've heard that in the UK since they banned them, prong collars they're using like two flat collars with nail roofs, roof nails
are you
in them.
serious?
Well, you
Jesus
can't see
Christ.
it, but it's still there. So they're going to do it in regard. People are going to, but
Yeah,
to your point, it's compensating for in the inability to communicate naturally, which
definitely.
is what I do see a point though. The only ammo these people might have is you got to be careful telling people. This is my one of the critiques I had of Caesar. Some of the things you're telling people to do is going to get them bit. Don't tell them to do that. You're
Hmm.
going to get them put in the ER. So what do you
Yeah.
do? How do you really advise? It's like some like doctors and lawyers can't really give advice for that reason because you can somebody can do something stupid and you get sued.
Hmm. Yeah.
So yeah,
That's
how
why
do
I'm
you coach people without in those type of situations?
that's why with certain problems, if I have like, there are certain things that I'll tell my clients, listen, I will do this for you. Don't fucking do it. Because I know it's dangerous. And so, um, especially if you have like resource guarding around food, I just tell I show them, or I will do it for them, but then I
That's
tell
a prime
them,
example. That's a good example. Resource
yeah,
guarding and food. You can show them,
yeah,
but they're gonna have to do it. They're gonna have to be at home, and they're gonna have to do it.
yeah, and I find ways around it for them because I know I don't want to put them in a position where they're going to get bit. So so
Mhm.
I will figure out ways of navigating through that. Um, because I don't want any of my clients to get bit. I don't want to put them in a position where it's going to happen. So I'll do the dangerous shit for them, and then we'll figure out how do we get it so the dog will respect you too, so that it's not something you need to be concerned about. Um, because I know that there's certain interactions you have around in certain contexts they are dangerous. Um, and so since I already know what the risks are, it's like, okay, well, and I always tell them that this is not, I warn them, do not do this. Like I'm telling you, it's not going to go well. And so, but yet so far I haven't had somebody
Yeah, me
reach
either.
out. Yeah, I haven't had somebody reach out and be like, this got me bad, or this one, so it hasn't been a
But it's part
problem.
of why I've not like Disneyfied my program, but I had to figure out how to make it so easy but impactful. So it minimizes the possibility of people having to handle their dogs in certain ways that can cause them to get bit.
Yeah.
Because I, you know as well as I do, certain dogs when their adrenaline spikes, all bets are off.
Hmm.
Whatever is close by is getting it,
Hmm. Yeah,
and they're
they're
not
not
thinking.
thinking at that point.
No,
No.
no, no. Which is why I think most redirecting is not personal, but sometimes. But
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's just like
yeah,
um the dog is it's just all that energy has got to go, so the dog, it's like
it's
out
got
of
to go somewhere.
frustration, the dog's like, it's
Yeah,
got to go somewhere. So I'm all right, you're next to me, I'm gonna, and you're stopping me, so fuck it. It's going to you.
yeah.
All right, well, let's see. um was there anything else on our case selection is in particular you wanted to touch on, Travis?
Um. Well, I dare get into what is the correlation between feminism and why Caesar was so hated, and how that
Okay.
how
Oh, that'd be interesting.
who he was. Dog Whisperer season 1 is nowhere near. Let me not. Is not who he is. It's not the same rawness today
No,
as it
not like
was.
today,
It's
no.
just not. My theory is he moved to California, L.A., the woke woke central. LA is woke central in the world. He moved
Yeah.
there the right time, the right place, was embraced by a lot of woke people, is supported by a lot of woke people, and he fell victim to a lot of this ideology. But and he's very much women universe, men power, but women universe, and I'm for all that. But he almost like he somehow he put women over. And I'm not saying men should be over, but I've always battled with this. We should I used to be like this. Let's all just be equal and let's just all that's fantasy because when you hear the thump in
It's
the
not.
night,
We're
who's
not
gonna
equal.
respond? Who's
We're
gonna
just
respond to
not.
that thump?
Right.
And
We are.
she's gonna say, "Babe, I want it to be equal, but I'm not about that. Go see about the thump." That's what I
Exactly.
thought. Please go, just sit down and let me handle the thump. So now we're not equal anymore. So when it comes to
No.
and we're the only ones who have to go fight wars, and they can vote to send us to war, and we have to
Hmm.
go die for it. So there has to be some kind of, well, if I'm gonna die for it, then I'm gonna call the shots. Plain and simple. If I'm gonna risk my life,
Yeah.
I'm gonna call the shots. I'm gonna
Well, to
I'm gonna
me,
keep the pack
yeah,
safe.
yeah. To me, there is a natural order to things, and I don't think this idea of equality to me doesn't exist either. I love what Thomas Sowell said. He said even a man is not equal to himself on any given day. Like with so even judging me
Right.
today versus tomorrow versus this, it's there's not even equality there. So, but this is why, because I see these certain conversations happen online, in like the red pill space or the manosphere, and but they talk down to women, and they just say like, so I'll usually leave these comments on because I'll see posts from these people sometimes where they talk about like, well,
Mhm.
women should just follow men because that's the way it's supposed to be, and I always say, listen, if you cannot demonstrate you have good leadership qualities, women don't owe you shit.
They
So
should not follow you.
yeah, they should not, right, for their own safety, they should not follow you unless you are a good leader. That's the caveat. Be a good leader, have those qualities, be strong, and
Hmm.
then you may get a woman to respect you enough to play, to fall into that dynamic.
Right. I agree with that. And Caesar was embodying that general principle with that raw dog whisperer season one. And then it
Hmm.
kind of watered down. I'm not exactly sure how. I'm sure Nat Geo has something to do with it.
I
But
think he got so much hate, and there were people trying to sue him. There were people coming after him. I don't know if it was just all the pressure, all of and how much of it was, as he's just getting older. And I think
yeah.
there's probably a lot of shit that happened behind the scenes too that we don't even know about.
Well,
Um,
his wife left, daddy died, and he lost the show all at the same time.
yeah, I
I'm
remember
sure
that. And then
that'll change people and try to commit suicide. Like that'll change
yeah,
people. But something's different. If you notice the dog whisperer episode, it's always a strong woman, beta male,
no, I
almost every
haven't. I haven't.
time.
I haven't watched it in a while, so I don't know. I haven't noticed that
Even
dynamic.
from the beginning to now. That's probably most of the cases. She's in charge. He's yes, dear.
Oh, in that case, yeah, and I see that a lot just in general on TV. That's like the theme,
Oh yeah.
you know.
Because when we were growing up, there were sitcoms that were not like that, and movies that weren't like that. And then we started seeing that trend starting, and then
Hmm.
it's in full force now, where the man is
Yep.
just stupid and can't do anything,
Yep.
and the
Stupid
woman
bumbling
is
idiot, and the woman is the
it's
one who's
it's like her child.
yeah,
The
yeah,
the
yeah.
man
He's another kid
the
she's got to
husband is
take
like her
care.
child. Yeah, and
Right.
it's like it's I hate to say this, but it's like when you put a dog in a leading role who's not fit for that role, there's going to be chaos. They're
Yeah, there's
not
gonna be chaos.
equipped to take that position. We're not equipped to take other positions. It's just
Exactly.
it just is what it is. And I don't know if this woke stuff is ever going to stop, but I was watching one yesterday about the wokeness in the veterinarian industry and how it's 80% women now. And when you have wokeness, you have less looking for truth.
It's all emotionally driven. It's very much. It's
So they
not
can be manipulated for the bottom dollar and not the truth as the bottom, as
right.
the the because obviously profit is the end game in the veterinary industry
Oh,
now.
of course, yeah. Yeah.
in our world, the doctor, the the health industry. It's insurance companies and pharmaceutical companies. So I don't think even that's who women are. I think women have fallen for the propaganda and have become a shadow of who they are born to be. And same with us,
Yeah, we have
same
too.
with dogs,
Absolutely.
same
I
with
think both
different
have.
races, different cultures, different religions. We have all been targeted and
Hmm.
been fucked with. And if we don't acknowledge and understand that, and we don't look for who we're supposed to be, the dogs are your barometer.
They're
If
the
they're
great.
not
They're
following
great.
you, like when Caesar that says that energy that when dogs used to follow him in Mexico, no leashes. If they like you, they follow you. If they don't like you, they go away. In America, they're forced to be around you, and you gotta be
But
careful with that.
you know what the litmus test is though, Travis? Oh, just open your front door and see if
Exactly.
your dog just runs. If your dog just runs away, well, you got your answer.
Now, if they had prey drive and they went after a
Right.
squirrel, that's different. As long as, but if they came
Right.
back,
Right. If
but
it
if they
came
don't
back,
come
yeah.
back,
Right.
it might tell you something. And I know there are a lot
Exactly.
of dogs that ended up in shelters because they ran away from home.
They ran away. Yeah. Exactly. And it's
And
because I hear people talk about this sometimes where they'll say, "Oh, the dog is your mirror," but I don't think they're accurate with what they're saying. They're saying it's like a one-to-one thing, and I don't see it that way. To me, the mirror is if I demonstrate strength, assertiveness, all these qualities over here, my dog will mirror back to me submissiveness, softness, calmness. So that's the mirror for me.
yeah,
Or
yeah, it's not a,
if I show the dog softness, submissiveness, and weakness, then the dog's going to mirror back to me assertiveness,
yeah, it's
aggression.
not a
You know,
mirror. It's more yin and yang.
yeah, exactly. And that's why I think, and Neely, because you heard me say this before. This is one thing I love about women is they will mirror back to you if you're being a bitch ass motherfucker.
And they should.
Provided you have a good quality woman. There are some just psychopaths out there, but they'll point out your weaknesses. They'll test your armor. They'll see, and then it's they can do that.
As long as it's fair both ways.
Exactly,
We
yeah,
have to play that game both ways. We have to
sure,
call each other out. We can't say what you don't know what it is like to be a woman, so you can't say, or vice versa. Well, we're
I
human at the
agree.
end of the day. We're humans on
I hear you.
common
Yeah,
denominator. But I don't know if this is going to change course or not. I don't know.
I don't think it is. Do you know
Really
who?
don't either.
I asked this in a live stream once. You said in the chat, Travis, you were talking about Yuri Bezmenov
Who?
and Yuri
What?
Bezmenov.
I don't
Do you
know
know who he
who
is?
that is.
So
No.
Yuri Bezmenov was an ex KGB agent. He fled Russia to seek asylum in America. But Yuri Bezmenov, he kind of divulged the secrets, if you will, and talked about the 7 stages of collapsing civilizations internally. Like countries wouldn't want to go to war with America directly because they would probably lose. So how do you take down a civilization like America? Well, you do it from the inside out. And so
Right.
he laid out all of the different, like, how do you degrade society, degrade civilization? So you do it morally, you do it through propaganda, you do it by infiltrating governments and institutions. So he laid all that out, and that's exactly what we see is all that shit happening.
And why people are so why they can't assume it could happen here. That game has been run on so many
So many.
nations in history. The
That's
same
how Rome
playbook
fell. That's how Rome
over.
fell. Yeah.
I don't know
Hey,
why
this
people really
this
believe
painting
America
right
can
here.
fall, but what is it?
This is one of my favorite paintings. It's called Fall of an Empire. And the gentleman who wrote it or painted it, what was his name? Tim, I don't remember his name, but he said it has a Roman aesthetic, but he said it's not meant to be Rome itself. It's just meant to depict any empire. He said it could be the American Empire, it could be, but
Yeah.
any empire falling. And so that's why I love this. It's one of my favorite paintings, but I see it as just like it's just history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. And so Rome fell, and America probably eventually will fall for a lot of the same reasons that Rome fell.
And I don't think it's natural. It may be some ways natural, but it is designed.
This is manufactured for sure. I think
We're
so.
being manufacturally targeted.
Absolutely.
And
That's
I do believe we won't be able to own dogs in 5, 10 years. It's too expensive.
I- I've seen that narrative. Yeah, they're trying to price you out of it, but also the narrative about how, like, because I've heard people from, say, the vegan community talk about this, how they eventually want to make it so you can't own animals and you can't
Yeah,
have
PETA.
pets.
That's PETA's statement. They
Yeah,
don't want you having pets in
yeah,
the home.
exactly. So I do
So
see
I
that as
wonder.
being the end game, you know.
So you can see how would hypothetically an organization like PETA reverse engineer a program to get rid of dogs in the home? Not that
Right.
they're the source of it, but whoever's over them, I
Yep.
know they understand this simple psychology. And how
Yeah.
do you make people more easy to deal with? How do you achieve 1984, an Orwellian future? Not by promoting strong individual, strong Americans, because America's, let's just face it, America sets the standard in the world.
We do.
Not
Yeah.
anymore necessarily, but at one point we set the standard in the world of right and wrong. Not that there are two sides of America. There's the corporate America, and then there's Americans.
Yeah.
So I'm not talking about corporate America, but
Yeah.
uh, there's nobody else. There's a saying: if Texas goes, America goes, the world goes. Nah, I know
I've
you're
never
not.
heard that
I'm a
actually.
little
I'm not.
biased because
He's
I'm from
Texas. Yeah.
Texas,
He's Texas.
but
I never
Texas
heard that actually.
representing opposing the slave master,
Oh, I got you.
who is
Okay.
setting all this into motion.
That's why they say
And
Texas. If Texas falls, America falls. I never heard that before.
and
But
Texas is
it's
falling. Texas is falling.
damn. That's sad to hear, man. That's sad to hear.
Yeah. We are the poorest country. We are Houston is the poorest city in the United States of the top
Is
25.
it really? I didn't know that.
Yes. 1 out of 4 in
Damn.
poverty.
I did not know that. Jesus. And they always
But
say, people like that. You remember the Great Californian Exodus? People were going to Texas and Florida, and so I'd always
yeah,
thought
they're
maybe
leaving
Texas
now.
was still. Are they?
They're leaving
Damn,
now. Yeah. Joe Rogan's not,
I
but
didn't know that. Yeah, Joe. Yeah, he's not.
but
I didn't know that. I hadn't
Austin
heard about that.
Austin became the new tech boom, and now they're all backing out. So
Okay,
Austin's about to experience implosion.
I didn't
So
know that
Texas
either.
almost like I don't know. It's like they wanted to draw in a bunch of left votes and then leave just to fuck us. It almost seems like that's what it is. I'm not saying that's what it is, but that's what it sounds
That's what it looks like. Where there's
like.
smoke, there's
Yeah.
fire. No, and it's so I have a really good book. It's one of the best books I've ever read. It's called Obedience to Authority. And there's and a famous anybody heard of the Milgram experiments that were done in the 60s? So Stanley Milgram, he conducted these famous experiments, and the book outlines these experiments and his findings and everything. But basically, what he found was, and the most famous experiment he did, he set up he had one room where somebody sat and he was in front of a machine, and the person sitting in front of the machine was under the impression that he could administer a shock to, I think, four or
Oh,
five people on the
yeah.
other side of the wall. Yeah, but he couldn't see them. He could just hear them. So what they
Mhm.
were testing was to see if the guy in the white lab coat, who played the role of the authority figure, if so, they asked the 4 people on the other side of the wall a question. If they got it wrong, they would administer a shock, and they would raise the voltage each time the question got wrong. They every question they asked and every time they got it wrong. And they wanted to see if there would be a point where the person who was told to administer the shock would be like, no, I can't do this. This is wrong. And they
Mhm.
found that, I think it was, what was it, like 95% of all of the repetitions that they had done with different people. I forget how many times they repeated the experiment, but it was an insanely high number of people just blindly listened to what the authority figure said and shocked the people, even though they heard the people screaming on the other side of the wall. Now, they weren't really being shocked, but the person was led to believe they were being shocked.
Oh,
And so the person is like, they know it's wrong, but they're like, well, this guy who's the authority figure, he's telling me to do it, so I guess I'll do it. and they couldn't believe that people were that susceptible to just doing what authority says. And so that, I think
Yeah,
that's led to a lot of the propaganda that, that we see now. And so, because they know that if, and this is because another book I have called Trust Us, We're the Experts, it kind of leads into that, where it's saying, like, if you just make people believe, if you just say, well, science says this, and then
yeah,
people will
yeah, yeah,
say,
yeah.
well, science said it, therefore it must be true, or this authority figure said it, so it must be true. And you could get people to just blindly accept it without critical thinking or anything. So you can get a lot accomplished just by couching bullshit in science, or this authority figure said, even though it's not true, just to get people to go along with certain agendas.
And if you have more money, then you have more.
More influence.
So
Yeah,
yeah, it's kind of like how Jordan Peterson talks about you. People can't realize that they're good until you realize how evil you can be. So if you were born in the medieval times, most people would probably engage in torture.
probably.
So it's not until you realize how how you can be used to do evil things that you can learn what good really is. Otherwise,
Exactly.
you're just
Yeah,
a
that's
nice
interesting.
person going along with the
Yes,
just to save yourself. You're not actually you've not realized what is good about humans
right.
overcoming the shadow. I guess you could say the Carl
Yeah,
Jung the shadow.
that's that's the one thing I love that Jordan Peterson said. He said, develop what did it say about life, like for men, develop the monster in you. It's not virtuous to be nice. It's virtuous to be dangerous and be nice.
Exactly. He said, yeah, he said
It
you're nice, you're useless to society.
Yeah, you're harmless and you're
Well, you're
useless if you're just
harmless.
nice. Yeah, you're not, especially as
Uh,
a man, you ain't shit. But
it
if you
takes
can
some
be
people
dangerous,
to
and
think
then,
about what that means because you have who's going to protect the innocents? Nobody
not
is. That's why this
nobody.
Epstein stuff is still nothing. There's no one protect. There are no more sheepdogs. The concept of the sheepdogs. Have you heard this?
Yeah,
Guard the
actually,
flock
yeah,
from the
you didn't you
wolves.
send me a video just recently about this? And because I saw this recently somewhere talking about the sheepdog versus the wolf or something like that. No, it was a
Oh,
UFC thing. Yeah, never mind. It was a UFC. They were talking about Sean Strickland being the sheepdog because Chimaev was the wolf.
oh.
That's right. But go on then, go on, because I haven't heard
Well,
this yet.
I think the propaganda is meant to target the sheepdog, to make the sheepdog believe the sheep aren't worth protecting, and
Oh, I
you might
see.
as well let it go
I
because you
got you.
can't protect. They don't. They're gonna. We've trained the sheep to see you as the wolves because you both have teeth. Second Amendment guns. So now we
Yeah,
take all the guns because you're scared of teeth. And now you have no one to defend. No one's left to defend you anymore. There are no more
right.
sheepdogs. America was the last sheepdog nation. That
Yeah,
probably
I mean,
ended in the 90s.
what
Probably
other
left in the 90s.
country?
There's
I don't
nobody
think any
else.
other country. Yeah, Australia banned guns. The UK banned guns. Yeah, I think we're it. That's it.
And now we're done. There are no more sheepdogs. Now the wolves will come. They've been waiting.
Crazy.
They've been waiting for the sheepdogs to lay down their arms.
I hadn't heard that before. That's really interesting. And you,
I, well, the
I,
only thing different this
oh,
time
go
is the
ahead.
internet. Now we have the internet. That's the only
Yeah,
thing different this go around. Because you can wake a lot of people up. We're losing a lot, but you can wake a lot of people up with the internet. With this, not that we're gonna save the world, but you can
sure.
open
Yeah,
people's eyes to, well, maybe I am a slave. Maybe I have been targeted, and I'm only a shadow of who I'm supposed to be
you
because
could
I'm made
plant
to
the seed.
believe. Yeah.
Yeah, you could plant the seed. It's you know, like during COVID, that was like, because I read that book during COVID, and or maybe it was right before, but reading that book and understanding how certain things work, and then COVID happening, that really taught me a lot about the
Oh
human
yeah, yeah, yeah,
species,
yeah.
because I was like,
That's probably how I saw the
everybody
experiment with COVID.
everybody
Just
just blindly accepted what the authority said, and it was like, it's this easy. It's this easy.
it really was easy.
It was that easy.
It was very easy. And so with me, with 25 years of pre Alex Jones, watching this unfold, I was watching it from a different perspective. Are y'all really gonna fall for this? And I
What's
just
that?
watched them fall for it. I watched them all fall for it. As somebody who has already been mentally prepped for Alex Jones called all this 20, 30 years ago. They will use bioweapons, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's all rolled out. When are they going to use the bioweapons? That's just been the and what is it? What are they? What's the purpose of the bioweapons? The lockdowns. What's the prisoner training? It's
Yeah,
prisoner
right.
training.
Yeah.
That's all it is. What will you accept? What will you push back against? And we didn't push back at all, really. I
No,
didn't
we didn't.
I didn't take it.
I
The
didn't either.
thing, the
I
the
said I
Ouchie,
was ready
the
to lose
Fauci
my
Ouchie.
job. I was like, I'm not taking that shit. Even
Not to
with the
knock anyone who
um
did, but
hold on one second, Trev. My earbuds have died. Let me get my manual earbuds because I can't hear you real well. Give me 1 second.
yeah. Oh, I wish. The Fauci Ouchie. No thanks. It's coming back around though. That's what it was for. To see if you would do that. And if you don't, you can't buy and sell. You will starve. But you will have your dignity. Yeah.
All right. I think we should work here. All right, go ahead and talk, Travis. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, okay, that's better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, when my Bluetooth died, I can't like reconnect it, and then I just can't hear it.
Oh,
All right, that's much better.
okay, cool, cool, cool.
Okay. So what were you saying? You were saying you didn't I heard you say something like you didn't fall for it or you didn't give in or we didn't push back enough. I think that's what you were saying.
Well, yeah, we didn't push back enough, but to Neely's point, yes, the chip is the COVID was almost like a trial run for the chip. If you don't receive the mark, if you don't receive the chip, the same thing that's in your credit card, wherever they're gonna put it, they want to see
Did,
who's gonna be a problem.
did you see so it didn't catch on like I thought it would, but I think was it Canada? It was just a couple years ago, like these new, these new self-checkout, they're putting them everywhere. Well, there was this woman at I think it was a Whole Foods, and they had updated the self-checkout to now you can pay with the chip,
Yeah,
and she just
I'm.
swiped her hand. She swiped her
Yeah,
hand and paid, and I was like, "Get the fuck out of here!"
yeah. It's rolling out like this is new, awesome technology. No, this
Hmm.
is all written. This
It's
is just a phase.
convenient.
It's just
This is
another
for your
phase in
convenience,
the operation. Yeah, right. That's how it's always pitched.
safety and
It would
convenience, right?
it will just aid you in your normal everyday life, but there's a Trojan
Right.
horse
Oh
attached
yeah,
to it
yeah.
every time.
What did Franklin say? Those who give up liberty for politically promised security deserve neither. So it was something like
Neither.
that. Because that's always
Hmm.
what they say. We got to take away your rights for your safety. No, get the fuck out of here. Get the
Well,
fuck
they're
out of here.
saying we're going to institute the state to do it all for you. So now we don't need men. The men are the state.
Right.
The state will keep you safe, take care of you if you need welfare assistance. We'll do what the man's role was. So it's making men obsolete.
Right. Yeah, the state
And
will be your daddy. Daddy government.
yeah, and
But I remember even because this is just some, even though like in my early 20s I had a lot of problem, like there was a lot of, because I was going down that road. I had, the cultural programming and all of it. But I still had that side of me. I just needed to strip away all the bullshit to kind of bring it out. And so I've always had this rebellious kind of, I've had more strong-minded, just way about me. And so when COVID happened, that kind of like brought it out of me full force, because I was just refusing left and right. I fought back everywhere I went. I'd put up a stink. I wouldn't, and
Mm.
it's just like,
Well,
I'll be honest, I missed the battle. I kind of missed the battle. I enjoyed like, there was something about that just kind of brought me to life. It was like I loved just the like, I don't agree with, I will stick to my principle. Fuck you. I'm not gonna listen. And you know, um that's just how I went about things. Now, and I remember there was a moment I'll never forget where I went to a local grocery store, and I always walked in without a mask. Anywhere, any new place I went in, I would test it. I'm gonna walk in here and see. I'm gonna take the
yeah,
temperature of the room. And so I realized when I'd walk into this Jewel, nobody cared. So I'm walking around, and I'm like the only person in without a mask. And I turn this corner around the meat section, and this guy turns a corner and he sees me, and he had the mask like halfway down, but he sees me and he kind of smiles, and then he pulls his mask all the way down and kind of gives me
nice.
this look like, yeah, man, like he needed
Yeah, fuck
somebody
this.
to do it first to kind of give him the
Yeah,
courage to do it, you know? So on the one hand, it was cool to experience that, but on the other hand, it was like, I want you men to just be able to do it yourself first. Like, that's, so it's like, it also kind of discouraged me, because it's like, ah, we shouldn't have to be in this situation to begin with. Um,
I unfortunately like dogs and people. I think most people are followers. Just for the same reason most dogs are followers. You don't need a bunch of leaders running around. That's
right,
just
you're
not gonna work. That
right.
won't work. You'll just be fighting
Yeah,
constantly.
too many
So
chiefs.
you have to have mostly followers. So I can see how people would, they don't know who to believe. Alex Jones, tinfoil hat, or the government who has all the science behind them, and they don't know
Hmm.
who to believe. They're
The
going
science,
to, yeah, they got lab coats on.
right? Oh, they must know everything then, right?
And to people's credit, they don't know. It's like,
No,
I'm scared to go to the doctor. I just don't know. I don't know who's in that lab coat.
right?
I don't know. But at some point, you have to like, but I have to, even though I don't trust it. I just have to surrender. That's what
Yeah,
people do, which is not good, but I understand it. But it's a trial run. This will happen again.
yeah. It's
We
they
failed. We
wrote it.
failed.
Yeah, oh yeah, they wrote a. I still have the document on my phone. What do they call it? I forget what the document's called, but it outlined the first COVID situation, and then it talked about another one involving a different virus, and that the Hanta was also something else that was talked about before. Um, the Hanta virus, but um, damn, where was I going with that? I can't remember what, I lost my train of thought. I was going somewhere with that, and there was something else I wanted to say, but now I can't. I cannot remember. Um,
Well, it'll always be something. They're always
yeah,
gonna roll
yeah.
something out just to see how we respond to it.
I think
Because
it
we're
was
the
one
last.
big experiment, wasn't it? It was like,
Well,
let's gauge the public response to fear, you know, fear and
we're
propaganda.
aren't we the only place that has a First and Second Amendment?
I know other countries have constitutions. I don't know how their constitutions work, though. We might be the only one that has a first and second. Or do you mean First and Second Amendment as far as free speech and gun rights? Is that what you mean? I
The
think we are,
ability,
actually. I think
the
we are.
ability to speak, and the ability to obtain arms.
I
That
think we are
that
the only
could that was
country. Yeah.
never going to last.
No.
The powers that
Well,
be would never allow that.
yeah.
They
It's
had
like,
to because they didn't have a choice. But it's only a matter of time before they. in that game.
It's
That's
like
too much power for slaves.
what what Franklin said. We gave you a republic if you can keep it, and we haven't been able to keep it. We
Which is
couldn't keep it.
fair. I mean,
Yeah,
it's all kind of fair in dominance hierarchy. If they're
sure.
more, I don't support the left, but they show up. I'll give them that. They at least they show
Yeah,
up. They do show up, and they're ready to make a
they
bunch of
do.
noise. I'm not saying we should, but hey,
I
I
think a
gotta I
lot
gotta
of it.
respect it to some degree. I gotta respect it.
I think a lot of it was paid for though,
Most
but I know
definitely.
what you mean. I know what you mean. They do. They have that strength in numbers where they will organize and they will.
Which is an R trait, strength in numbers.
Yeah, there you go.
That's their strategy. They have
That's how
they
it
have the dollars and the numbers to outperform you with
is.
numbers.
So it's just interesting how it like you said, it just kind of it all connects, to one
It
thing
kind
to
of
another.
does.
It's very interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
damn, I cannot remember what I was gonna say. Um,
something about it'll happen again.
yeah, I was talking about the but there was fuck, man, I don't remember what I was gonna say.
Stop thinking about it. You'll think about it. You'll think
Yeah,
about
I know.
it.
As soon as it'll just pop in. But yeah, and that's the I think a lot of it was fear tactics, but also it was, if the mainstream media said it, it must be true. If the news said it, it must be true. Even though every
and
news segment you saw was sponsored by Pfizer, it's like,
try
so
to explain. I know it's difficult, but try to explain how how it is all simple dog training. It's simple classical conditioning, counter conditioning. It's all simple
exactly,
dog training. It's very
exactly.
simple. You get
Hmm.
a reward if you do good. You get a
You get a
penalty if
punishment.
you, and it's just very simple, transactional, and people
Yeah.
will just fall in line.
Hmm.
And I think they got our number on read now at this point. They know,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
especially if they starve us out like they're doing now, because there are people with $100,000 a year salaries and degrees that are struggling. Now they got us
Yeah.
where if they ask for the chip, you're gonna take it. Most people are going to. Well, you can't buy and sell if you don't. Most people will do it.
Yeah. It's like the planned destruction of the economy, the bringing in of say like the CBDCs and I mean the dollar is planned to die at some point, but they have to kill it so that we can bring in this new money system and
Digital currency,
the
yeah,
digital current, yeah, the digital dollar, all that shit, and
which was
that's
written a
all.
long time ago. So
Yeah,
all this was already. How do we get people to this point? It's all engineered. These
yeah,
people are
and there's
actually very smart, and they think in 50, 100 year periods. These are oligarchs. They think in long term,
right. They're playing
not like
chess
us.
to
We
we're not even playing checkers to their chess.
we
It's
can't
like
see we can't see past 15 minutes. They see
nah.
100 years in the future.
But I think it's been constructed that way. You create a system where people are more focused on daily survival,
Yeah, that's a fair
and
point. It's so complicated. We can't do anything but keep our head above water every day.
yeah, it's like all you can think about is I got to go to work, I got to pay my bill, I don't have enough money, or I got my kids, or you're dealing with X, Y, and Z with your kid. You're not focused on anything else except day
That's
to
why I
day.
encourage people to downsize, simplify. Uh,
Uh-oh. Oh, I don't know. You still there, Travis?
something. No,
Looks like before. There you
something
go. Oh,
just.
hold on. Good.
Do you see me?
Can't hear you.
I don't know what the hell.
Looks like we had
I
a little
don't
glitch.
know.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, I can't hear you.
I don't know what happened.
Right, you're right,
Uh,
OT. The news ain't told the truth. Decades. Yeah, exactly. Daily distractions.
should
I
I
don't know,
leave and come
Neely.
back?
I'm just saying that, say, like the hantavirus and all that, that's been talked about for a while. So to me, when I saw news stories about it, I'm like, of course, it wasn't anything new. The COVID scenario. Look, hey, everybody watching, look up Event 201. Look up Event 201, and you will see that it was a simulation happened right before COVID kicked off, and basically it was all these world leaders getting together where they did these tabletop simulations of what would happen if a virus sort of took over the world. But it was like um, the last little bit of preparation they did before it actually kicked it off. So event 201 was very interesting. Um, I might have to let me see if I can hold on guys. I may have to re-invite Travis here. Hold on a second. I may have to end this. Give me one sec guys. I'm gonna restart the stream.